Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the 49th Annual Jack Tosh Holiday Classic. Today we have the preview show previewing this amazing tournament with bigger and better matchups, newcomers who are looking to take the title in their first time in this tournament. Is going to be a very interesting tournament, and we are here to talk about it with you. I, once again, am Joshua Melvin.
I'm Gavin Connolly.
I'm TJ Silkaitis.
And I'm Nick Gurgone.
And we will start off with the tournament's, one of the tournament's best matchups. It's going to be between St. Laurence and Andrew.
Yeah, St. Laurence, a misleading record for sure. They coming in at 6-5, but they lost their first 3 games. So they have won 6 of their last 8. Definitely have some momentum heading into the Jack Tosh. Definitely battle tested against some tough non-conference opponents. And St. Laurence last year, they were one of the most impressive teams in my eyes. They lost their opening round matchup but then won 4 straight to win the consolation championship against some very, very good teams. And they did all this with mostly sophomores and juniors. This year, they're going to have a little bit of a different roster. The big name is Josh Pickett, who is a senior, and he's going to be committed to play at the University of Denver. Other guys to keep an eye on are juniors Zarek Johnson and Khalil Jones. Both are playmakers and, contribute to the squad. And St. Lawrence should be another fun team. Andrew's a tough opponent, but I believe that St. Lawrence has the talent, has the depth, has the coaching to make a deep run.
Yeah, they definitely have the experiences. They also return Jacob Rice and Caleb Lindsley, 2 very important players in their run after the first game of the Tosh last year. Both very impressive players, along with, as you mentioned, Zarek Johnson, as well as the senior leading scorer Josh Pickett. But they do come up against a tough team in this 10-1 Andrew Bolt roster, as they are led off by a star in Grantis Sakanis. The 6'10 big man in the middle has had a couple of extremely impressive games, in particular 31 points against Naperville North, and as well as 22 points and 17 rebounds against Naperville North and 31 against Perspective. He has been extremely great, and so is the rest of the roster, including Danny Leard, Caleb Sims, and James Gallagher have all been great aspects of this Andrew team, leading them to such a great start of the year. This, even though it's the early 8:30 game, you all will have to get here at York to the South Gym by that time to watch this extremely intriguing matchup between Andrew and St. Lawrence. A little bit of a South Side rivalry here. There's going to be passion behind this game. Both teams are looking to have a better tournament outing this year than they did last year, as they both much improved, but unfortunately they have to play against each other. So one team will be disappointed after the first day, and you guys will have to find out which one will go into the next day. Very excited. And now we have the head coach, Coach Stern, from an impressive Andrew program, which is off to one hot start, starting off 10-1. How are you doing this afternoon, Coach?
I'm good, guys. How are you?
We're doing well, thank you. And your team is really led by the big man in the middle, Grantis Sakanis. And what is it like having a player that is so good that defenses start to plan their game plan around him and him alone? And how has the supporting cast been able to step up and keep your record high, even though teams are focusing in on the inside of Sakanis?
Yeah, it's a luxury for a coach and for the guys around him to have a guy with his size and his athleticism and footwork to be able to play with. The guys around him have done a tremendous job of looking inside to him, because they all understand that, the better positioning he gets inside and the more opportunities he gets inside, it's going to free things up around the perimeter. And overall, all of them have done a great job of sharing the ball, communicating, and playing well together.
Coach, it's been a fantastic start for you guys, winning 10 of your first 11 games. How will the transition be going from some of these tough non-conference games to now 5 intense Jack Tosh games in 5 days? Is there a bit of a fire within your team as you're coming in with all this momentum, a little excitement?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of excitement. I think obviously everyone recognizes Tosh as one of the top Christmas tournaments, holiday tournaments in the state, if not the, depending on who you talk to. We know it's loaded from number 1 through number 32. We know St. Laurence is a very good team. They've played a very tough schedule to start this season as well. So the kids and the staff are excited for the opportunity to continue to try and play as well as we've been playing.
Thank you, Coach. And chemistry is such an important part of a successful team, and it seems like you do a lot on and off the court with chemistry with your team, especially Santa's breakfast event. Can you tell us a little bit about the off-court activities you do with your team to kind of grow that chemistry and do good for the community?
Yeah, this is something that we've been doing for probably about 10 years now. The varsity program helps out. This is one of the bigger booster club events that we have every year. It's a great way to get kids, the program, our players out in front of the community, help out in the community. The people that bring their kids to this event love it. Our kids love being a part of it. It's a great way to give back to the community. It's great to see the smile on all the kids' faces. And this is something that, starts at the lower levels of our program as well. Our freshman coaches and sophomore coaches do a great job. We typically do something with those levels as well. In the past 8-9 years, we've done where the freshmen and sophomore typically go to a college basketball game together. They've gone to games at St. Xavier. They've gone to games at Lewis. The last couple of years, they've gone to games at DePaul. So it's that piece of building camaraderie off the floor and getting kids to understand and buy in and believe that, the basketball obviously is important, but if you don't build those relationships off the court, it can make things a little more challenging. And I think our kids have done a really nice job of buying into a lot of those things.
Well, thank you so much for joining us, Coach, and good luck at the Jack Tosh Holiday Classic coming up on December 22nd or 26th when you are here early to take on St. Laurence. Good luck to you.
Thank you guys very much. Looking forward to coming out.
Thank you. And now we look a little more into the matchup between St. Laurence and Andrew, as it's going to be a battle of star big men, as Caleb Lindsay and Grantis Silkaitis will be facing off in the middle there. It'll be which one is better on that day to decide who wins and who increases this team's morale through a win and a chance at the Jack Tosh Holiday Classic title. And we will be talking to the St. Laurence head coach, Coach Burt. Coach Burt, can you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you guys.
Thank you for joining us, Coach. And coming off a lot of roster change between last year and this year, how's it been handling this team through some tough games and a tough schedule early on, and now into the toughness of the Jack Tosh Holiday Classic?
Yeah, it's been an experience. I think it's a learning experience for all of us, the players and the coaches. Just trying to find our chemistry, just trying to find, what our identity is, and we just hopefully we figure that out in the Christmas tournament. I know we had a good run at it last year. We turned the season around this time, so hoping to do the same this year with these guys.
Coach, hope you're doing well. We knew that last year you had a lot of your production coming from sophomores and juniors on your team. What does it mean to you to get such good production out of players who aren't seniors?
Yeah, I think it's always positive when you have the underclassmen stepping up and, providing some help with the seniors. It's always a positive. It gives you good help with that. So, yeah, we're excited about the juniors coming into this tournament.
And Coach, what do you expect out of your team so far for the tournament coming up? What sort of steps do you want to take towards as in-conference play starts to happen throughout the course of the rest of the season?
Yeah, we kind of just told the kids, forget about what the expectation is and stuff like that from other people and all that stuff. For us, is just making sure we're going out there and we're getting better at, whatever it may be day by day. Just taking everything at a small step and just making sure, you can be the best version of yourself.
Awesome. Well, thank you for joining us, Coach, and good luck to you against Andrew and along in the Jack Tosh Holiday Classic.
I appreciate you guys. Looking forward to it. It should be fun. It's always a good time.
Thank you. And definitely one of the most interesting matchups of the tournament so far is going to be the kick-off game, the first tip-off game of the Jack Tosh Holiday Classic. And be sure you are here at York to enjoy that game at 8:30 in the South Gym. Moving on to the second matchup in the South Gym is going to be an extremely interesting one between the two defending champs of the Jack Tosh Holiday Classic happening in 2022 is Rolling Meadows, who comes in as the higher seed, as well as the 2021 champions of the Glenbard West Hilltoppers. Tim and Nick, can you tell us a little bit about that matchup?
Yeah, of course. I mean, Glenbard West has a little bit of a down year right now. They're 4-5, but don't let the record fool you. They had a nice 20-point win over Lions actually this year, so that's a pretty good win for this team coming into the Jack Tosh tournament. And they're a pretty young team this year actually, but they do have size. They have great size. Drew Gasick is 6'7", 260. Mike O'Connell is their leading scorer, who's a T1 football recruit. The Big Ten is all over him. He's got lots of offers, and also Logan Glover, who's also 6'5". And like I said, they have a bunch of younger players. Sophomore TJ Williams, he's really been able to make things happen, both on offense and defense, both sides of the floor. They're still playing that 1-3-1 defense that they are known for under Coach Opoka, and it's really tough to play against. So I think that they could be a sneaky good team coming into this tournament, even though they do have a tough matchup against Rolling Meadows.
Yeah, and a little bit more about Rolling Meadows. This year, they no longer have the two Christie boys playing for them. They lost all 5 of their starters from last year. Not many people expected Rolling Meadows to get out to such a good start that they got, going 8-1 so far. They only have 2 seniors on the roster to begin with. They're very young, but juniors Ian Militich and Jack Duffer are really standing out for them so far. Ian Militich has been on fire for this team. He won MVP honors for the Mustangs in their Thanksgiving tournament, and Coach Kadovich has just done an incredible job really coaching up these teams here early on in the season. And with that, we'll go over to our interview from earlier in the week with Coach Kadovich.
You guys are the defending Tosh champs, and you guys lost all 5 starters last year. Everyone thought that you'd obviously drop off this year. You guys are still back to 8-1 record coming into the Tosh. How have you been able to recoup and keep having a good team year after year?
Sure. Yeah. No. Thanks. First, thanks for having me. And we graduated 4 of our starters. We do have one back, Ian Militich, who's a junior. Yeah. No, that's okay. And but I think this group, they've played together a long time together. They've had some success at the under levels, and they've sort of been able to watch the groups before them, and then sort of just continue that work ethic and continuing to get better every day. And so it's been, I wouldn't say it's been a surprise, but as you pointed out, certainly we lost a lot of our guys from last year. So the guys themselves aren't surprised, but I could see why some other people definitely would be.
Absolutely. Another question. You got Jack Duffer and Ian Militich, who was the MVP in the Thanksgiving championship. And
correct.
They've been, so far, what I've watched, it looks like they've been leading your squad this year. What makes them such great players?
Yeah, absolutely. First of all, they're great kids. They've been friends since probably 4th grade, 5th grade. They've played feeder together through the entire time. Jack's dad, who's a basketball coach at Buffalo Grove, he coached them in feeder. And I think it just starts with their leadership. They're very mature kids. They had the benefit of being around Cameron Christie and some of those other guys that we had last year and the year before. So they kind of learned what it takes to be a good leader. And they've, added some of their own personality to that role. And it's really been effective with the rest of the team.
Yeah, it's been great to watch coming out to an 8-1 record. Without a doubt, it looks like your program's going to have a target on their back after winning the Tosh last year. How have your kids been able to handle the pressure this year?
We don't really look at that, to be honest. We know that we're going to get team's best effort, but a lot of that is because the teams we play are really good and they're really well coached. So we just try to focus honestly just on what we're doing. And, as we've already lost the game, we know we're not going to be undefeated. So we're just trying to get better and focus on what we can control. And the guys are doing a really nice job of that every day.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like you guys have built like a really good culture, being humble year after year, putting in the hard work and whatnot. And in the first round, actually, it's a tough matchup. You guys are going against Glenbard West, who won the Tosh the year before of you guys. So it's really two powerhouses playing in the first round. Tell me how you see this battle of like the defending champs. Like, who do you think? Well, obviously you guys think you'll come up on top. But like, yeah.
When you look at the field, obviously, as you guys know, all 32 teams are really good teams. There's so many teams that could win the bracket, and I'm sure Glenbard West feels the same way going into this year's tournament. It's a different team, a different tournament, and that's a cool thing for sure, without question. It's going to be 10 in the morning in the back gym the day after Christmas, so a lot of times that comes down to which team is more awake, and so hopefully our guys will be awake, and I'm sure they're thinking the same thing over there.
Yeah, keep it light on the Christmas dinner.
Yeah, right, exactly.
So obviously you guys are losing a lot of star power going into this year, but you have been able to hold your own, going 8-1 to start. Not only have you had changes to your roster, but there also are going to be changes to the rules with the new shot clock. How do you feel about that change this year?
Absolutely love it. I wish the state would have the shot clock. Last year we were fortunate to play in some shootouts that all had the shot clock. So our guys have done it before, and it just adds a little bit more excitement to coaching, to play. Just has a different feel about it. So when you combine the fact that the Tosh is such a great tournament, so well run with so many great teams, and then you have the unique thing about having the shot clock, I think that's going to add even more to how great the tournament is.
Yeah, I mean, it really seems pretty unanimous between all the coaches we've talked to that they are all in for of the shot clock. And obviously we feel the same. Like, just really moves the game along and stuff, like makes it more competitive. Teams can't like hold the ball out for like 2 minutes at the end of the game. Something cheap like that.
Right.
Before we let you go, do you have any questions for us at all, or about like Tosh or?
No, I just think you guys are part of the reason why the tournament, in my opinion, is the best one in the state. There's obviously a lot of great shootouts out there, but combined with how everything's run, the quality of the teams there, and then your media production, there's no other tournament that does all the work that you guys do too as well. So I know we greatly appreciate all your efforts too.
Thank you. We really appreciate that. We try our best to make it the best tournament in the state for everyone that comes in. We really appreciate you coming in and talking to us today. I know you're busy. You got to prepare for stuff before winter break. So we'll let you go.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I really appreciate it. And, anytime you guys need anything, don't hesitate to reach out.
Will do. Thank you very much, Coach.
Thank you, Coach.
Thanks. Have a Merry Christmas.
You too.
And thank you, Coach Kadovich, for such a great interview right there. We also were lucky enough to get some of the Glenbard West kids along with Coach Opoka from that 2021 team here with us. And here's their interview now.
So with that, we're just going to start asking a few questions for everybody, and then we'll get you guys off. We know you guys are probably pretty busy with your college and everything that you got going on. So let's start with Coach. So we know that you guys this team was just incredibly talented. I was actually at that Sierra Canyon game, and it was awesome to watch you guys. But what was one of the biggest challenges for you guys in that, Coach? And how did your Tosh, in the Tosh, how did you guys prepare for this tournament, and how did you have so much success playing in the Jack Tosh tournament?
Well, the first thing I remember about the Jack Tosh was just the field and the amount of teams that had success leading into the tournament. So as any coach, you wanted to be prepared and you wanted to do your due diligence and, make sure our guys were prepared mentally and up for a challenge. We got our first matchup was St. Pat's. And St. Pat's, of course, everybody knows, longtime coach, and they've had a lot of success. And not to say that we were nervous, we were prepared, but all I could remember is coming out to 25 points to nothing in the beginning of that game. And I knew our boys from that moment in 22 were ready to rock and roll in that tournament. And they didn't have any jitters. They were strictly business, and we carried that momentum continuing out throughout the Tosh. to win the championship and win pretty much every game handily, but also with some difficulty at times, with some adversity. But we did our job, and we were excited for what we did at Tosh.
That's really cool. And Caden, I had a quick question for you. You come from a family of incredibly talented athletes. Your brother Justin played basketball at University of North Carolina. Your older brother Alec is currently in the NFL. So he had a big touchdown catch this past week with the Colts. You currently lead Princeton in rebounding, steals, and block shots, while also averaging 16 points per game. Do you have any plans after your collegiate career in college?
Honestly, not sure yet. Obviously, I'd like to play basketball as long as I can. I thought about this. If basketball doesn't work out, I might try to be a tight end in the NFL. But that's a plan B. We'll see. We'll see how far that goes. But yeah, just trying to take it one day at a time. See where life takes me.
That's a pretty cool plan B.
Yeah, that's awesome. And then Bobby, so I know you started out at Hinsdale South in the Tosh tournament, right? And obviously Glenbard West. So how was that transition when you first started playing with your Glenbard West teammates compared to when you played for South?
Yeah, so playing at South and going to Glenbard West, probably pretty big difference. All the guys at West immediately made me feel like I had been playing with them for years. So that made the transition a lot easier. And I think our experience at the Tosh was one that I think I have great memories at, just because it's on Christmas break, and I think kind of knowing a lot of the teams in that tournament and wanting to win it, I think that was an awesome experience.
And Brian, you were what many people considered the unsung hero of this team. Was it difficult accepting this role, knowing that you could have been a better player on many other teams in the area, and know you're on such a good team, of bunch of talented athletes, so fitting together as a team?
No, I wouldn't have given it up for the world. Grew up with these guys, my best friends, so just play on a team and do it all with them, just finish it. To transfer, that would kind of be disappointing, but no, it was definitely, I guess, the hustle guy. I don't know. I played in the middle of the 1-3-1, so kind of just took charges. I didn't have to guard much, so it was a lot easier. Paxton had to run around. I would just stay in the paint. So I guess it was an easier role because I could just hustle, and the ball didn't need to be put in my hands. So you just pass it to any one of these guys. So no, I definitely don't regret it at all. It was so worth it.
Yeah, that's amazing playing with your lifelong friends.
Yep, always a cool experience. And then Paxton, you were the point guard and a great leader for the team. So what was your biggest challenge, distributing the ball and making sure that you're finding the best looks for your teammates?
I think it was pretty easy. Obviously having these talented guys on our team was pretty easy to facilitate for them and get them open shots. So we've been playing with each other for so long that it was kind of easy to make the next read and the next pass for people. So it actually came pretty easy just because I've been playing with them for so long. So yeah.
Fantastic. And this question is basically for everyone. Your team received so much attention during your magical season. Was there one special moment or thing that most people don't know about you guys, and that you guys will remember forever?
I'll start. I think what we did was amazing, and you never forget it with the basketball realm. But I truly think just our practices, the way that we had energy in our practices, and we had the jukebox going. Renfro would be dancing around. Huff would be making jokes. Just our atmosphere and just how we competed every day. Andrew Douches would try and annoy everybody in practice and just get up underneath them. And Cardwell would try and knock down tray bombs. And our scout team would just go at those juniors, would just go at these guys, and it'd be more of a competition. People don't see that. People don't realize it, but how hard we worked in practice and how much fun we had outside of just the basketball games. and just spending time together and having jokes. Anybody else?
I could add to that too. I was just about to say, we just had so much fun with each other, and I don't know, it's hard to really replicate that with any team you really play for now, just because we were like brothers. So practices, I mean, we would go at it with each one of each other. Even like Coach said, when we would get the music going and we would do the JV scrimmages. It was just fun competition, and we all would show up wanting to get better. I don't think we had like a single day of practice. It was just a good time every day.
Yeah, I agree with that, because even at practice and stuff and at games, kids would be thinking of celebrations on the bench, and no matter which guy you were through 15 guys, everyone had the same type of energy, and everyone's having fun with it, even when we were in close games, things like that. So I think the bench energy was definitely a huge part of our success out at Grand Pierce. So, yeah.
Yeah, I think going off of that, first off, Dalen Davis, the second place state finisher, just walked in the locker room. But going off of that, I think what made us so good was what you saw on the court. We were the same people off the court, and I think we were best friends off the court, which is why we were so good on the court. And, because I truly believe, if you're not connected off the court, you're not going to be connected on the court. And so I think, like everyone was saying, we were able to be so free and loose during practice and games just because we had that connection with each other off the court and that built-in chemistry. So.
Yeah, I mean, I think for me, there's really not even one game or anything like that that I would say is the most memorable to me. The most of the memories that I still think about are kind of the smaller things, like the practices and hanging out with the guys outside of games and practice.
It seems like you guys built a true family culture, and had your team chemistry is off the charts. That's really cool to see. You're more than just teammates.
Yeah, but I think if we had to pick one game, I mean, boys, the Sierra Canyon game was something that it just doesn't happen every year, every day. So, when looking back, now that you can watch the game or see it, on, YouTube, it's oh my God, I was a part of that. But during it, it was hey, we're trying to win this game, and we were tunnel vision. And now looking back, it was probably one of the most, anticipated games in the state of Illinois. And that was the game everybody remembers, the one we lost.
Right. I mean, it came down to a buzzer beater, so you guys really proved that you can compete with anybody, especially some of the top athletes in high school, which is actually crazy. But one last question for you, Coach. Do you guys watch each other's games? Just for everyone, do you guys all stay in touch when it comes to? Well, obviously, who was it? Ryan, you said to Bobby right as he got in, rookie of the week. So obviously you do still keep in touch and talk to each other over your things. But do you guys watch each other's games all the time and keep look out for each other on the collegiate level?
Well, how could you not? So we have group chats and a bunch of different group chats going on. And when somebody plays well or somebody doesn't play well, or if we want to just throw a funny meme in there or something like that, we'll fire it up. It's amazing that we had 3 guys be this week actually awarded their conference player of the week. Cade was 2-time player of the week this week, and then Huff got his, and then Bobby got his from Davidson. So I shoot them texts quite often, as we do with everybody, just wishing good luck. And not only us, though. It's not only us. It's a community that's following these guys, and that's what's amazing about it, because you look at a team like Princeton, and it has so many similarities to what we did at Glenbard West. So a lot of Glen Ellen and a lot of fans that were Glenbard West fans have now jumped on the bandwagon of these guys' teams because they want to see them succeed because of how they treated others on the court and what type of people they are and what their character is. So that's the most exciting part.
I think too, because we're all from the same town, over the summers, and especially it's hard not to. I mean, when Caden made his Sweet 16 run last year, everyone in the community was following. So, it's just everyone is just doing so well right now. So we're just always congratulating each other, and it's easy to stay in touch. But like even then, like we still all do work out together, like over summers. I know Bobby, Caden, and I, we were doing our lifts, and we all make goals together. And Caden's giving me advice about my freshman year. So it's just stuff like that. Like we're always connected just through our lives.
I should have looked into this. Do you guys have any of you guys played any of each other before, like at the college level?
No, but next year Davidson will play Gonzaga in the Bahamas.
Oh, that's really cool.
So we're gonna take a road trip, guys. That's December Thanksgiving Day and the day before Thanksgiving. So
I got Davidson.
Yeah, I'll take Davidson.
Is that the battle for Atlantis?
It is. It's battle for Atlantis.
That's gonna be sweet.
Yeah, Gonzaga and Lewis are going to be matching up next year. It's a preseason opener, and we're also taking on Princeton, so it'll be a big one.
Yeah, we're gonna have to keep our eyes out for that.
Gonzaga played Yale this year. So maybe there's something for the Ivy League. Maybe they got Princeton next year. We'll see. Hopefully.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. Those games can go anywhere, especially like we saw in March Madness when you guys took down Arizona. That was pretty sweet. Before we end, Caden, you want to talk and go more into that game and just the experience, just like when you're in that game, like the feelings, the adrenaline, just everything that was going through your head?
Yeah, honestly, that game was it was unbelievable. Obviously, winning that game and upsetting Arizona and then going on to make it to the Sweet 16. But I think what prepared me most for that game was honestly the Sierra Canyon game, because if you think about it, they were really similar atmospheres, particularly because, at when we were playing Sierra Canyon at Winchester Arena, it felt like every single person in the arena was rooting for Glenbard West. And then, it was pretty much the same thing when we were in Sacramento playing Arizona. It felt like once we started to pull it close and got it within a couple points, it felt like the crowd was completely on our side. And although the gym was a little bit bigger, it still felt just like high school, and it was so cool to kind of be that underdog that everyone's rooting for, and because you're playing so carefree and you have no pressure. It's kind of just go out there, and at the end of the day, it's just basketball. So you just go out there and play the game you've been playing for your whole life.
That's really cool. I can't imagine playing like such big games like that in a big atmosphere. It's fantastic. I know you guys are very busy. You guys probably got to go. Thank you so much for coming on and talking to us today.
I actually have a question, if that's cool.
Oh yeah, of course.
Okay, yeah. So looking back to the 2022 Jack Tosh tournament, with the first team, all tournament team, do you think there's any sleeper picks who may have been missed? You've got big names like Braden, Caden, Bobby, Paxton. There's other big names too. But I was wondering maybe any sleeper underrated from that tournament who maybe had great performances that just maybe went, under the radar.
Yeah, so there's one kid, my first game I ever announced, Arias. He plays for he plays at the collegiate level now, but I announced one of his games and he had about 5 to 6 triples in that game. He went crazy, but he was one of my favorite players to watch in the Tosh. I don't know if you know who that is, but I know he's playing at a collegiate level somewhere.
Yeah, he probably was a great player. I think anyone else though, any
I was bitter because he didn't get all tournament. I was a little bitter. He's bitter at the Tosh.
Man. You look like
this kid right there on the bottom.
There's this guy right here. I got to hold the tournament trophy, but everyone else was holding the first team. But no, yeah, I stay on this radar, I guess.
It's cool.
Sleeper, you're the glue. You're the glue.
Glue.
It motivates me really. So.
That's hilarious.
Jeez.
All right, boys, I got to get running here. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks
for having us.
for coming on.
All right,
thank you.
Bobby, keep telling him to pass you the rock, man. Keep telling him. Keep firing that
keep
thing.
winning, boys.
Bro, keep getting them rebounds, man.
Keep winning, boys.
Yeah, and big time celebrity Huff. Maybe we'll get him, a
Maybe
couple years
someday.
down the road,
Maybe someday.
Someday. Facts. Be healthy.
Yeah.
Good luck the rest of the season.
Hey, good luck, guys.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you so much, Coach Opoka, and the rest of the 2021 Glenbard West team for that fantastic interview. Up next, we're going to go to the next matchup we got in the South Gym is Highland Park against DGN.
And now we will have on the coach from the Highland Park Giants. Coach Deutsch, are you there?
I am here. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, we can. Thank you for joining us this afternoon.
No, thanks for having me and for all you guys are doing to promote the premier holiday tournament in the state of Illinois.
Thank you. And with the loss of your main ball handler and playmaker in Sam Roan last year compared to this year, how have you really changed your offense to be able to accommodate that, as well as how have you changed your offense that really looks for the perfect shot that sometimes takes a while? How are you going to adjust your offense to be able to fit within that shot clock window?
Well, anytime you lose a 3-year varsity player, there's an adjustment. Thankfully, we're returning our leading scorer and junior point guard, Simon Motion, who's off to a terrific start through 10 games. He's leading us with averaging 17 points a game, 3 assists, almost 3 steals. We're trying to play with a little more pace. Having said that, though, to your point, yeah, we still are. We still focus on running our continuity motion, and our mantra is sort of a 5-second or a 25-second possession. We will look for the first great shot in transition. If not, we hope to get a few ball reversals. We equate there's a higher or direct correlation with the number of ball reversals with the better shot selection. So that's kind of been our focus. We know there's a tremendous challenge in front of us on Tuesday, as it should be this time of year. It should be hard. We should be playing great competition and great opponents. But we're really excited for the opportunity and the challenge.
Coach, your record is only 500 right now, but last year you guys were really hanging tough with Bolingbrook in the first round, and you kind of have the tendency to keep games close. Once again, you're facing top-seeded Downers Grove North. Would you say you and your team are kind of relishing being the underdogs and having a great opportunity to play spoiler against a really good DGN team?
Yeah, honestly, yes. To the short answer, I mean, that's really more for fans in the stands and covering the game, that outlook. We relish the opportunity anytime we take the floor. I'm a defensive-minded guy. We kind of butter our bread, so to speak, on the defensive side of the ball. Playing ball press, we feel that will give us the best opportunity. Whomever we're playing, whether we're undersized, like we were against Bolingbrook, to kind of keep us in the game and neutralize some of that height or athletic disadvantage. And we're just, again, we are really focusing more on us regarding our record. Our record just tells you where we are in terms of the standings. It doesn't really speak to me who we are or what we can accomplish. That's something I say to our guys all the time. Basketball is what we do, but it's not who we are. And I'm much more concerned with who we are, not only playing the game, but post-game as well, because we have high-character guys, and I'm really fortunate to coach at Highland Park, in the community in which I live, and we have tremendous support from our parents and our players.
Wonderful. And one of the coolest parts of the Tosh is some father-son relationships we have between players and coaches and coaches and coaches. And in your case, your son Robbie is one of your varsity assistants. How cool is that to be able to coach with him?
It's thanks again for bringing that up. It's beyond words cool. He's our oldest of 4. He knows me very well. We are able to kind of wear 2 different hats, head coach and assistant coach, and there are plenty of times during games and or practices We're competitive guys. We're emotional guys. Where when I may be running a little bit too hot, he knows me so well. He'll give me a little tap on the knee or he'll grab me. But he, his willingness to just sacrifice for the team, as well as our other assistant, Mike Paul. It's why we coach. It's the relationships with our. It's unique that I coach with my son, but with our assistant coaches as well as our fellow other head coaches. I'm very fortunate that my athletic director is the head coach for whom I was an assistant for 20 years. So just a tremendous resource for me, as well as your own Vince Dorn, who runs this unbelievable tournament. Vince is one of the most accessible and willing friends that I have met in the basketball and coaches community, and it's special. And I learned a long time ago, don't take special for granted, and I try not to. So that's the beauty of this tournament and this profession, is the relationships that are developed, and that's one of the things I look so forward to going to the Tosh every year, in addition to just so many different teams, different styles, different opportunities.
Wonderful. Well, thank you for joining us once again, Coach, and good luck to you against Downers Grove North and along in the tournament.
I really appreciate the support and all that you guys do to promote such a great tournament. Have a great Christmas, guys. We'll see you next week.
Thank you. You too, Coach.
So my first question for you is about Jack Stanton. I'm sorry, not that. So, Coach, you've been there for a while now, this program. How have you turned it into a powerhouse? What are the steps and the culture that you've brought into this team, and kind of changed the way you guys have played?
Well, you know what? I appreciate those kind words. Sometimes in high school it ebbs and flows based on, your roster, right? We've had some kids that we've had an influx of kids recently, like Jack, and some kids from last year who are really high-level athletes who have been involved in our program since such a young age. So the payoff has been immense, obviously. But we instill a culture of playing hard, being intelligent while we play, playing smart, and being the best teammates we can. Jack epitomizes all of those things, and so do his teammates. So, they're really easy to coach, and they've had success. So we're just trying to bottle it up and repeat the steps every day we step onto the floor.
Absolutely. Another player that I want to highlight is Owen Thulin, who is a three-sport athlete.
Yeah.
And has been doing very well this year with that game against Hinsdale Central where he had 15 first-half points. How has he been a great pairing with Jack Stanton this year?
I mean, they've been in the backcourt together since they've been in fourth grade, so they have a ton of chemistry. They both have a great competitive spirit about themselves. So whether it's in practice, whether it's in the classroom, whether it's on the football field, like you see Owen, they're just relentless in their efforts to compete at a high level and win. Both are very mature too, so from a coachability standpoint, they understand. Sometimes coaches can get on kids and whatnot, but they understand what coaching looks like, and how it works, and they've really become an extension of our coaching staff within our program and our community, and I think that's really helped us pay dividends.
All right, and Coach, you guys had a really tough road to get downstate last year, and yet you seem to knock off powerhouse after powerhouse. Just kind of tell us, how has that experience helped you build the team that you have this year?
Yeah, well, I appreciate that. So last year, obviously we don't have some of those guys on the roster this year, but it was about just taking one day at a time. One of our things that we talk about is just winning the day. We win the day, going 1-0. So we take it in stride like that. So, we didn't try to do anything that we didn't think we could do. Just one day at a time, whether it was practice or a scout or a game. I think to make a run like that, you have to have a few things happen your way, right? You need a good pathway, which ours was difficult, but, we managed it. Got to stay healthy, and we were all the way healthy until we got to that UIC game. We obviously played particularly well that night, but, it was unfortunate not to have Bozeman in the Final Four downstate against Moline. We sure needed him just from a creativity standpoint on offense and to help guard a little bit. But, and then as you fast forward, it obviously shortens your offseason with your guys a little bit because you want to give them some time off. But we have 4 of those players back that produced on that team that went downstate. So they've been in pressure-packed situations. They've experienced, some really cool events that we were able to get through last year. So, I just think, as you play Fury, as you're getting into the Tosh, all these other really good events that people run, one side's Clyde at Bennett, they're just, they've felt that energy that's in those gyms, and they've had those competitive juices flow. So it's nothing really too new to them.
Yeah, and some players, Jake Reimer, Owen Thune, and Alex Miller, are all senior leaders for your team. It has been nice to have them. And, just their presence, being there, how do you think that helps your team?
Yeah, well, I can give you a specific example. We had Downer South here on Saturday after we played Proviso West, and they absolutely beat up on Willowbrook. But, they came to our place. We went down 9-0. Then we answered with our own 9-0 run. Late in the second quarter, I actually received a technical kind of for my emotions being portrayed, towards an officiating crew. But it was kind of a reverse role where those 4 guys were standing in front of me and kind of being the calming factor. So again, it's just like they've gone through those raw emotions and experiences playing high stakes basketball. So they're really they can kind of just manage the basketball game, right, and the things that need to be done on the floor. So having all 4 of those guys, actually, I think 3 out of the 4 of them started at the UIC game, maybe even 4. I think Miller may have even started that too. So, again, they've all been battle tested, I guess would be the word that I would use, some way, shape, or form. So I just think they're used to being under the spotlight, trying to perform at a very high level. And, sometimes it works out for you, sometimes it doesn't, but I don't think that rattles those guys.
Absolutely right. Going into the Tosh, you guys have been on fire. 7-1 record with your only loss coming against the number 2 team in the state. You guys are currently ranked number 7 with a 25-point differential, positive, per game, which is absolutely nuts to say. How are you guys keeping a level head going into the Tosh this Tuesday?
Yeah, well, I think it's pretty easy to keep a level head because the tougher teams on our schedule, I think, have been really good ball games. Like the Hinsdale Central game, I can tell you from experience, I know it was a 12-point win, but they fought us tooth and nail to the end. Downer South was a really close game this past weekend. Natia Valley finishing our 4th game off of our own Thanksgiving tournament, and then Curie, obviously. So, we get a lot of attention, and that's awesome for our kids. And sometimes the focus, we're a focal point of a game, and we're going to get everyone's best shot. But I think that, again, those instances have allowed for our kids to have a great understanding for what's coming to them every single time that they step out on the floor. They're very humble kids, so nothing really goes to their head. They understand that, maybe they have that quote-unquote target on their back, and, other coaches might be doing a little bit extra scouting and all that kind of stuff. But, again, that's just, we're very humbled by that, and we try to do our best and give our opponents our absolute greatest attention and efforts on the floor, too.
Yeah, and Coach, you talked about that kind of potential target on your back. You guys come into this year's tournament as the top-rated team, the number 1 seed, and this tournament's loaded with a lot of great talent. How are you guys preparing to face off against some really good teams throughout this tournament?
Great question. We have a unique lull in our schedule right now, which is good for us because getting our football guys back a little bit late. We had our 6-man, Jack Rickman, break his thumb. We had a couple guys from the football team that ended up not coming out. So we feel as though we have a lot of things that we need to address just in our team to get better and to get to be the best version of ourselves. So while we acknowledge that Tosh has probably the greatest field in the state for holiday tournaments, we need to make sure that we utilize this week to, one, get healthy, but two, kind of be, continue to take strides to becoming the best version of ourselves. Because, we're taking a look at Highland Park this week. We probably won't review that scout until maybe Friday or Saturday. But, they're going to be tough. Whoever we get next, whether it's Wheaton, North, or Stagg, they're going to be tough, and it just continues to get more difficult on that path. But, the way we term it to our kids is that this is a great checkpoint for us as a team to see where we're at. We did that with Mattia in our Thanksgiving tournament. We did it with Curie, and now we're going to have that opportunity again at Tosh to see kind of where we're at. You're going to have to win 3, 4, or 5 ball games to, make a run in the postseason or win a conference, right? You got to string those together at the end of the year. And so, we'll just use that and take it one step at a time to see where we're at.
All right, well, Coach, that's all we have for you today. We thank you for taking your time out of your day to come and talk to us. We really appreciate it, and we wish you the best of luck.
Hey, I appreciate all you guys do. Last year when I was sitting at home listening and watching the games, you guys are great to listen to, and your passion and all that kind of stuff. So I appreciate all you guys do for the tournament.
Thank you, Coach. Have a great day, and good luck this coming tournament.
All right. Yep. We'll see you next week, man.
Yep. Thank you, Coach. Bye-bye.
And that'll be it for Highland Park versus Downers Grove North. And Downers Grove being a returning powerhouse, we turn our attention to a new powerhouse. Coming in at 10-2 is going to be the Stagg Chargers versus the Wheaton North Falcons. Can you tell us a little bit about that matchup?
Yeah, of course. I mean, like you mentioned, Josh, Stagg is coming in at 10-2. They're off to a great start this year. They stopped being 13-17 last year. Much improvement to the year. They're mostly led by a few seniors and guys who've been on the varsity team for a few years in Connor Williams, LeBarian Gilmore, David Ortiz, and Yusuf Jared. Connor Williams is arguably their best player and is receiving some college interest as well this year. And LeBarian Gilmore is actually the quarterback of the football team and will likely play football at the next level next year. And Coach Struess, can you hear us? Are you with us?
I am here.
All right, perfect. Coach Struess, what a start for your team this year. It's not really surprising at all to us at the Tosh because you guys have several 3-year players coming back this year and are now seniors. How bad does this team want to win the Tosh this year?
Yeah, guys, thanks for having me, first of all. Appreciate all you guys do. We definitely want to go there and compete and want to use this as a good measuring stick for where we're at. We're happy with our start, but the best thing about this group we have is, they're not really satisfied with anything. So, we haven't liked our record the past few years, but we haven't let that kind of define who we are. We kind of just played through it and tried to keep getting better every day. And this year's no different. We're happy with our record, right? But we're not going to let it define who we are either. We know we still have some work to do, and we're looking forward to the challenge of next week to kind of see where we're at against, the best teams in the state.
And then, Coach, could you please tell us a little bit about your senior players and Connor Williams, LeBarian Gilmore, David Ortiz, and Yusuf Jared?
Yeah, so those are 4 guys who have been up for 3 years now on our varsity. Our senior class, in general, we have 9 guys in our senior class, most of which have been part of our program for 4 years. Their first year was that first kind of full school year with COVID. So we had a short season. We were limited with what we could do practice-wise. And these guys they never wanted to stop working. They put the work in. They showed early on, even as freshmen, that this mattered to them. Getting better mattered to them, and working hard mattered to them. And I'm very grateful these guys stuck with it and stuck with me and stuck with our program. They've been, great examples of what student athletes should be, and it's fun to see them kind of rewarded here with some wins.
And Coach, like I mentioned before, LeBarian Gilmore was a star quarterback for your football team. What kind of leadership skills does he bring to the team this year?
Yeah, I think quarterback, obviously, can be argued the most leadership-driven position in all of sports. And you play quarterback at Stagg. The conference we play in for football,
you're gonna take your lumps from time to time, and both on the basketball court and the football field. Barry's been a part of some seasons where a lot of losses have piled up, and I think that that either makes you fold or it makes you tougher. I think Barry's gotten tougher from that. He's become a really good leader for us, and I think he has those experiences. And you gotta be tough to play football, obviously. So being a part of our backcourt there and being able to handle adversity, handle being pressured, bringing the ball up, things like that. It's nothing new to him when it happens. So it's a good, nice little security blanket we have in our backcourt that he has that experience.
And then, Coach, it just seems that your team is constantly getting better, especially over these last 3 years. You've really built something special there, and with those senior players helping you out in those last 2 years, you're coming in at 10-2. What have you really tried to put into these guys' minds in their mindset to what's led you to this such a great start to the season?
Yeah, it's all our players. Like I said, our senior class is they're just driven and they're not satisfied with anything. We've had some big wins here to start the year, but they always just want to know what's next. And I know they're really excited about the opportunity next week. We didn't have the showing we wanted last year. Connor didn't get a chance to play in last year's Tosh, and I know he's chomping at the bit to get in there. And these guys want to play against the best, and this tournament definitely is going to bring that out. So we're looking forward to that challenge.
And Coach, obviously you guys have been off to a great start this year. How do you continue this momentum into a huge tournament like this? And how do you feel is your best method to going deep into this tournament?
I think it's hard playing 4 games, hopefully 5, in 5 days, but definitely 4 in 4 days where you're going to get, maybe a different look every game. You're going to get a really good coach on the other sideline, and you might play a team like who's got senior experience like that, and you don't have a few days to prep for it. It's quick turnaround. You got to be able to, we talk a lot here about next play. You got to be able to move on to the next play, and next week you got to be able to move on from game to game. You got to be able to, wins and losses. Those things kind of define your record, but they can't let it define who you are. So, we have a great showing on Tuesday, hopefully, but then you got to flip the script and move on to Wednesday. Or, things don't go well Tuesday, it doesn't matter. Wednesday's a new day. You got to kind of look at each game as an opportunity to get better. And, we are looking forward to those opportunities.
And then, of course, Coach, you play D2 basketball, and your brother, Max, is playing in the NBA. I would imagine, especially with how time-consuming it is coaching at the high school level, have you been able to go out and actually see your brother play in person at all?
It's been tough this year. The schedule hasn't really lined up too much. He is coming in. He plays at the Bulls on Saturday, so we're looking forward to having him home for that. But yeah, no, our schedule's kind of butt heads quite a bit. So TV's nice, obviously. I'm able to watch games as much as I can, and the cool thing is he's able to watch us too now with everything being live streamed. So we're constantly talking back and forth about what we see in each other's teams and kind of where, it's just nice to have a sounding board like that of someone who you trust and respect and admire for everything he's been through, to kind of pick his brain a little bit about some of the things he sees.
Well, Coach, thank you so much for coming on and talking to us again. We really appreciate it, and we can't wait to see you play and wish you much success in this upcoming Tosh tournament.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate all that you do. Looking forward to seeing you all next week. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Looking now at the Stagg Chargers opponent, the Wheaton North Falcons, coached by Coach Dave Brockman. They have 2 key seniors coming back from the consolation championship game last year. Coach, are you currently with us?
Yes, I am. How's it going, guys?
How you doing?
Doing well, thank you.
So we wanted to talk to you a little bit today about some of your better returning players from last year, like Jack Spears and Hudson Parker, and what they really mean to your team, especially so far into almost as in coaching those younger guys up?
Yeah, the Hudson and Jack are both had great junior seasons. We actually had a pretty young team last year, played a lot of juniors, so we have a very experienced senior-led team this year. Not only Hudson and Jack, but several other guys. But Hudson and Jack have been. This is our third year as varsity players, so they're very experienced. They are setting the tone for us at practice, and credit to the rest of the team for kind of following their lead. We've been a bit inconsistent to start the year. We played a tough schedule. We're trying to get kind of better each game. We played really well at times, but other times we've been a little bit more inconsistent. And Hudson and Jack are fighting hard to make sure they lead us to improvement. So it's good to see.
And Coach, like you mentioned, you guys have a lot of experience. How do you feel like that experience will help you go deep in a tournament like this in the Tosh?
Yeah, well, the tournament is really, really tough. So every game you play is going to be, you got to play really well to win. So having guys like that who have been through 2 years already of varsity basketball, obviously that helps because they've kind of seen all kinds of different teams and sort of faced heavy competition. So obviously the more experience, the better, especially in games. Probably going to be a lot of tight games in this tournament with so many good teams. So we're happy. Some of the inexperience of last year is hopefully will be paying off the rest of this year.
Yeah, and Coach, we know that the Tosh comes with a lot of pressure with the games that you play in, a lot of close matchups. We know that your team specifically dealt with that quite a bit last year with the Constellation Championship game coming down to the wire, and you guys playing a very close, tightly contested game against Batavia as well. Do you feel that your team is still prepared to deal with those situations?
Yeah, we had our game versus Batavia last year, the double overtime game. I still have referees, coaches, etc. say to me, I can't believe that game was so crazy. There were a lot of wild things happening in that game. It was fun to come out on top. It was not so fun during the process, pretty stressful. But those are it's great situations for players to learn from, but also coaches. And, you want to be in those situations, so the next time around you feel a little bit more prepared. And our staff is pretty experienced. We've been through a lot of games that are come down to the wire. So we're with an experienced team, we're ready to go and fight our butts off there on the 26th.
And Coach, there are a few new rules going into effect in this Tosh tournament, one including a new shot clock rule. How do you feel about the 35-second shot clock in this tournament? I'm excited to play with it. We haven't played in it with it. I know last year some tournaments used it, and I know some Thanksgiving tournaments used it this year, but we have not played with it. So, not that I think it's going to have a drastic effect on how teams play, but I think that there's going to be X amount of possessions in the game where people get into late clock situations, and I think that could be an area a team can edge another in those late clock situations. Can your team execute offensively, defensively in those situations? At the end of the game, I think it could make a difference depending on the situation.
Yeah, thank you so much, Coach, for coming back on with us again. We want to wish you the best of luck in this tournament, and we hope to see you there.
Okay, thanks, guys. I appreciate all the coverage of the tournament and all the teams. Thank you. Have a good one.
Thank you very much. Have a good day.
All right, bye-bye.
And after talking about that Stagg versus Wheaton North matchup, that concludes our first part of the bracket. Let's go back to everyone now. Josh, you want to start us off letting us know who you think will take this quadrant?
I think this quadrant is a tough quadrant. Of course, you have Rolling Meadows, defending champion. You have Andrew coming in white hot, as well as Stagg. But I just think the team that has the depth of talent that is unlike any other in this quadrant is Downers Grove North. And I think their depth and their experience with going on a long tournament run like they had last year is going to power them to win this semifinal slot and get to that Final Four of the Jack Tosh Holiday Classic.
Right, I agree. I'm also going to go with Downers Grove North. I think they have a lot of talent, but they also have some depth there, returning a lot of pieces from last year that, go beyond just like Jack Stanton and Owen Thulin. And the other thing about Downers Grove North is that we saw them in the state tournament. They excel really, really well when it comes to this tournament style format. And you're playing games back-to-back days. They're not a inconsistent team where you might see them play really well in their opening matchup and they might fall short the next day. No, they seem to almost get better as they play more and more games. So I expect this format to be very favorable for the Trojans.
I'm going to take Downers Grove North as well, just like Josh and Gavin. There's a reason they're put as the number 1 seed here in the bracket. They are a very well-coached team. They are very talented. There's also a reason why they're ranked top 10 in the state of Illinois as well. I don't see them having much trouble in this part of the bracket, and I think they'll make it to the Final Four.
Well, someone's got to switch it up, so I'm going to take Rolling Meadows. I mean, the defending champs of this tournament, I think Ian Militich and Jack Duffer will lead the way for the Mustangs here. And Coach Kadovich, obviously, tons of coaching experience. I think he will guide them to a semifinal appearance.
Well, that wraps up the first quadrant of the Jack Tosh Holiday Classic, the early games in the South Gym. So be sure to stay tuned with us as we go over the rest of the bracket shortly. And now we will be previewing the next matchup, which is arguably one of the best in the tournament between a 7-4 Naperville North Huskies team as well as a 7-3 Fenwick Friars team, both with impressive wins so far this season. Can you start off by telling us a little bit about this Huskies roster?
Yeah, Naperville North, just like you said, 7-4, and they have a very impressive resume. A 15-point win against Hinsdale Central and an 11-point win over Conant, who is in this tournament. They're very, very strong. A lot of experience on this team, especially when it comes to playing in the Tosh. Luke Williams was a 2022 All-Tournament selection. This is now going to be his third Jack Tosh that he has played in. It'll be the second one for Bryce Welch, who was kind of his co-star last year in the tournament. And, Luke Williams, he's a star football player as well. He's going to be playing football at Purdue next year, and it really seems that he's kind of evolved as like a leader and as known as like the number 1 option for this Husky team. Naperville North, a fantastic coach with Gene Nolan. They have a really, really good defense from the games that we saw last year, and they can score in bunches. So it should be a really, really fun team to watch. Again, we've seen a lot of their players before, and we have Coach Nolan on the phone right now. Coach, how are you doing today?
Doing great. Thanks, guys. Really appreciate the great tournament you run and all the stuff that you do to make it that way. So appreciate you guys.
Coach, your team is 7-4 right now, and you have quite a few impressive non-conference wins. What do you think is the key to success at the Jack Tosh this year?
Well, I think it's the most competitive tournament in the state. Most tournaments are 16 teams, and when you go to 32 teams, sometimes you could lose the competitiveness of the number of teams. And this one is just it's stacked, from 1 to 32. So we're really looking forward to it. And the biggest thing of this is taking the long view. Is that we're going to come out of it having gotten better. Based on the teams that we're going to play. So we're really excited about that.
And Coach, talking about your 2 star guards, what is it like trying to coach up a team that is really guard-centric and has this sort of ability coming into this year?
We've got a good senior class. Luke Williams has been a 4-year varsity player. His freshman year was the COVID year, so that was a little bit different. But still he's been with us for 4 years. And then also Bryce Welch, Nicole Arl, and then Jack Halstrand and Grant Montanari are other senior starters. We're not really big. Our biggest players, 6'2", Jack and Grant. But we do have some good guards, and we like our team a lot. So we're really looking forward to it.
Coach, I like that you touched on that you guys weren't the biggest team in the world, but nonetheless, you guys were extremely effective, especially on the defensive end last year. It was evident that your team had a lot of chemistry. What are some of the things that you guys like to do off the court to build the team culture, build the team chemistry on the court, especially now that you mentioned a lot of the guys have been playing together for like 2 or more years?
Yeah, and for really our guys, it's been since middle school, right? And so it's not just in years here at North, but when they were playing together at Jefferson Junior High, and Washington and Kennedy. That for most of these guys, it's been a 7 to 8 year stretch of playing together. So I think that chemistry of just being around each other, liking each other, loyal to each other, all of those things matter. And so it's just a great group of guys to work with. And we do have some experience back in kids that are really high character guys. So we're excited about that.
Awesome. Well, best of luck to you and your team. We look forward to watching Naperville North in the tournament. Thanks, Coach.
Really appreciate you guys. Thank you so much.
Have a good one. Now, Josh, their opponent, Fenwick, a fantastic record of their own at 7-3, a newcomer to the Jack Tosh tournament. Some fans might not be familiar with them or their program. What can you tell us about Fenwick?
Fenwick is a really great team that has had a tough schedule so far. Their only losses have come against teams that have a combined 6 losses over 3 teams. So that's only 2 losses per team. And they've really played competitive basketball against a lot of great teams like St. Laurence, St. Rita, or OPRF. They've really had a great start to the season so far, and they're looking forward to trying and bring that success to the Jack Tosh Holiday Classic, in which it is their first time being a part of a tournament such as this one. And we would like to talk to the head coach who has brought the Fenwick Friars to this team or to this tournament, and is going to be Coach Ferguson. Can you hear us, Coach?
Yes, I can.
Awesome. Thank you for joining us this afternoon.
No problem. Thanks for having me.
Of course, and congrats to a great start and having only one senior on your roster. How is it going to affect having your team play on a stage as big as the Jack Tosh Holiday Classic?
Hopefully it doesn't affect us too much. I mean, my guys are more than equipped and ready to come out and play. I mean, at the end of the day, basketball courts are still the same, the ball is still round, and the rules are still the exact same. So we're just going to come out and we're going to compete like heck is what our goal is. And hopefully we can win a game or two.
Coach, we know it's your first time at the Jack Tosh, and a lot of other coaches say that the 5 games in 5 days is more of a marathon than a sprint. How are you preparing your team, both physically and mentally, for quite a bit of basketball in such a short 5 days?
Yes, that's a very valid point. That's very tough. In college, I had to, we played 4 games in 4 nights, and this is actually, like you said, 5 days and 5 nights. So we're just going to take it one game at a time, making sure that we hydrate our body and we're putting ourselves in the best position as possible to be able to play. Obviously, when we can fast break, but you can't just run up and down the entire game because you'll die out after probably game number 2 or 3. So for ourselves, we're going to take it game by game, and whatever presents ourselves, that's what we'll have in front of us. And then we're just, like I said, we're going to come out and we're going to compete.
And finally, Coach, you guys had a huge rivalry win over Oak Park earlier this season, and that had to be one intense game. How will you tell your young team to prepare for the intenseness that the Jack Tosh has?
We're just going to come out, and who's ever in front of us, I believe our first opponent is Naperville North. We're not looking beyond Naperville North. We just want to come out and compete against those guys and play extremely hard. And every game, even though that game, the OPRF game, had a little bit more extra sauce on it because that's our little in-town rivalry at Oak Park. But, for us, we want to treat every game the same. We want to treat all our opponents the same. We want to come out and respect them. But with that being said, we're going to come out and we're going to play tough as nails and compete for the full 32 minutes of the basketball game, and then let the chips fall. They're going to fall.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining us, Coach Ferguson, and good luck at the Jack Tosh Holiday Classic.
No problem. Thank you very much. Thank you, guys.
And with that is going to be an extremely intriguing matchup. And either team that wins that one, I feel like, could have a chance to go far in this tournament. Both teams are battle-tested. And as they say, iron sharpens iron. And both these teams have faced iron. So they are going to strengthen themselves even more by facing each other. So I'm extremely interested in tuning into that game. And the next one is going to be one of the most interesting newcomers on both sides at the Jack Tosh Holiday Classic, the only nationally ranked team coming into the basketball season from the state of Illinois, the Metamora Redbirds from Peoria, as well as the Hansberry Prep Bengals, are going to be facing off at the 4:30 game in the South Gym. TJ and Nick, can you guys tell us a little bit about those two teams?
I mean, yeah, like you said, Josh, two brand new teams to the Jack Tosh tournament this year. Doesn't mean we can't expect big things out of them. Hansberry this year has two twin brothers who lead their team, and Al Brooks Jr. and Iki Brooks. They both average a double-double for this team. Al is regarded as one of the best juniors in the state of Illinois. Jalen Harris is a newcomer, a transfer from Oak Forest. He's been averaging 15, 5, and 4 with 4 steals. This team coming into this tournament is 2-3, but that definitely does not mean they can't make some noise here. Coach Brooks, can you hear us?
Yes.
How are you doing today?
Oh, I'm doing well. Yourself?
Yep, we're doing good over here as well. We want to ask you a couple questions here about the upcoming Tosh tournament. First of all, welcome to the Tosh with Hansberry's first year here. It seems that Hansberry has come from nowhere, and now you are quickly becoming a household name that people in Chicago are talking about. How has this happened?
I mean, it's been a ride, and it's just putting in the work. We've just been putting in hard work trying to build a name. Coming from the small school sector of it, coming right outside of CPS, we're a Noble Charter School. So just keep working. We've been working to try to just build a name up.
Hey, Coach, your sons, Al Jr. and Iki Brooks, are super talented players. Are you guys constantly talking basketball at home?
Yes, that's what we do. We just analyze, break down, and train them mentally as well as physically. So yeah, we talk basketball all day long.
And Coach, your son Al, he's regarded as one of the best juniors in the state of Illinois. What makes him so different from everybody else, not just on your own team, but everyone else in the state?
Honestly, because he's a hard guard. He's a hard matchup. He's athletic. He's a super athletic, lengthy type of wing player, but he also has guard skills. So he can play the 1 through the 4. He can really play 1 through the 5. So he can stick to bigger players, but he also can stick to guard as well. So he can guard all positions, and he handles the ball as well as any guard in the state. And he's explosive and he's smart. He has a high IQ with the basketball.
And Coach, Jalen Harris has added some punch to your team. Can you tell us about him or any other players that are key contributors to this team?
Jalen Harris is a transfer in from Oak Forest. One of the toughest players you probably ever see at his size, because he's like 5'8", around 5'8", 5'9". Bulldog, real tough on defense. He guards up, plays 94 feet. He can shoot the leather off the ball, so you can't leave him open. He also handles the ball very well as well, so real deceptive with the ball getting to the rim. We also have Zaire Tobar, who is a junior, been with us since his freshman year, a lights-out shooter, good catch-and-shoot guy. Also off the drive, he can drive the ball very well, get to the rim, get to the rack, get fouls. We have Jamarion Massey, who is a power forward, who's a big-time rebounder at 6'1". Big rebound. He averaging 15 rebounds a game right now for us. Really go after everything. The Dennis Rodman type deal. Very strong, athletic. He plays linebacker and cornerback football as well. We have Chad Garrett, who is another Bulldog type player. That's a senior, who's literally a sit-down, lockdown defender that can attack the rim with a lot of aggression and get to the basket and get to the line very well, and he can shoot good free throws. So we have a couple of pieces. We also have John Dansby, another shooter. So we put a lot of shooters around the athletes so we can play a good kick and pop type of game.
And with all those players you just mentioned and how they've turned out for you this season, Do you guys think you can take down a team like Metamora in this tournament?
Yeah, anybody can be beat on any night. I mean, just like I'm quite sure they're not looking prepared for us. We prepare for them. We watch their tape. We watch them. We try to set ourselves and put ourselves at the best chance to even compete. So, yeah, we got an opportunity to beat them just like they got an opportunity to beat us. And we know that everybody looking at it like they're going to get the win. So we love playing from the underdog position.
Yeah, obviously, underdogs play a huge story in the Tosh tournament every single year. Coach, thank you so much for coming on and talking to us today. We wish you guys great success in your first tournament this year.
Please. Yeah, appreciate you. Thank you for the invite.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Metamora entered the season as the only nationally ranked team in the state of Illinois, and Coach Danny Greaves has really turned this program into one of the best in the state. Danny Greaves has won state championships in both Mississippi and Illinois. It's a pretty impressive record right there. And the defending 3A state champs from last year, who were also second place in the state in 2022. And I believe we have an interview with Coach Greaves.
And how are you doing today, Coach?
Doing well. Better than I deserve.
All right. Let's get started. Coach Greaves, you have won state championships in both Illinois and Missouri. Could you just try and tell us the biggest difference between high school basketball in Missouri and Illinois? Mississippi and Illinois?
Yeah, Illinois and Mississippi. Well, the difference is, it's just, I think it's a better brand of basketball. And there's just more of us up here. Down there, I think at this point in time, they have 7A, and I think the 7A is only going to have 32 teams in it. We're in a Christian tournament that has 32 teams. So, last year I think there was 205 teams in 3A. So there's just more and better basketball than there is in Mississippi. But I tell you, there's little pockets of basketball because it's a football state. We all know that. But there's pockets of basketball there in Jackson, there on the coast, there in northwest Mississippi that has really good brand of basketball.
Right. And then one of the questions I have prepared here is you have played in so many tournaments over the years. What have you heard about the Jack Tosh tournament? What attracted you and your team to come out and play in it in a few weekends here?
Well, we had been in the State Farm Classic 2 years ago, and last year we went to a nice tournament down in Gulfport, Mississippi. And we were looking for a tournament, and we saw that the Jack Tosh tournament had an opening. And, of course, being from downstate here, we had heard about that tournament because it's just so good and it's just such a great, well put together and got great teams in it. And so we saw the opening, and as soon as we saw that, we knew it would be a great place to be, and we just hoped we had an opportunity to get in it.
All right, and Coach, the first round schedule for the Jack Tosh has been released. It was released yesterday, and this tournament's loaded. You're matched up against Hansberry. What do you know about him, and how do you plan to attack him in the first round?
Well, I know, I've watched a couple of films already from him from last year, and I saw a little bit of film from him this year. They got a tremendous guard in Brooks, and he's a kid that can really take over a game. And I do know that they play hard, they play a heck of a schedule. They don't have the greatest of win-loss record right now, but if you take a look at they played, it's kind of like us. We're the best 4-3 team I know.
We've all heard about Cooper Koch, and he's headed to play basketball at University of Iowa. What makes him such a special player?
First of all, he's just a great kid. If you take basketball and athletics away, he's the kind of kid you want your son to grow up to be like. That's what a great kid he is. And he helps me second hour PE with Unified, and they just love him. But on the court and in the classroom, he's a 4.0 student, and in the locker room, he just does the right thing all the time, and does great things, and does it by example on what should be done in the correct manner. Now, on the court, I'll tell you what, I don't really think people know how good he is yet, because this kid can really play. It's nice to have him a year. I would love to have him 4, but I tell you, he's a sniper. He's a lights out shooter. And he's got a nice high release. The great thing is he can handle the ball, and he can score at all 3 levels. He's got a really nice stop and pop jumper from mid range, but he can get to the basket with a nice soft touch, finishing right or left. or you can just throw it down. So, he's a real bothersome guy to guard because he's such a good 3-point shooter. It opens up the rest of his game.
Yeah, a lot of high praise for Cooper, but obviously you have some other great players on your team. Matthew Zobrist, the lefty sharpshooter, Tyler Mason, and Luke Hopp, who's a top junior in our state. Just tell us a little bit about these other guys that help make your team so great.
Matthew Zobrist, we've kind of gotten a slow start with him because he played in that first game against Notre Dame in the Tournament of Champions, and he rolled his ankle for the second game. And so he tried to play that game and, wasn't very good because he just couldn't push off. He was set out the next two. I'd say right now he's probably 80%. And so for him, he's a high level, high energy guy, and we really need him back. And as far as Tyler Mason goes, he's the reigning player of the year here in the Peoria, Illinois area. And he's a kid that you take a look at and you don't think much about him. And then all of a sudden he's got 15 on you and about 5 steals and 10 assists. And he's kind of our motor that makes us go. And he's got plenty of championship experience because he was one of those guys that highly impacted our 2 championship games the last 2 seasons downstate. So it's nice to have a kid with that kind of experience. Our other starters, and Matthew was one of those guys who was an impact player. So he's got a little bit different role also. Now, the same thing with Luke Hopp. Even though he's been in both championship games, he wasn't an impact guy on those teams, and now he's being called out to do that. And he's doing a decent job. It's nice to have another 6'8" in the lineup, and so he's not the only guy that has to handle the inside work because Cooper Koch is more than capable of helping him in there. And then we got Ashton Greaves is our other starter, my grandson, and he's done a good job. He's a kid that averaged like 24 points last year on the sophomore team, but didn't play many meaningful minutes in the varsity. But he's in a new role too. So we're trying. Even though we had a lot coming back, it was different guys that impacted success from previous 2 seasons. They're gone, so it's new roles. And as soon as they embrace those roles and get to learn how to be a star in those roles, they'll be better. So as the season goes, we're getting better. We've got beat by a couple of really good teams, the state champs from Dale, 2-time defending, beat us in overtime. So, we've had a really good schedule. And we wanted to do it that way to, have an opportunity to, see what our deficiencies might be. And we play talent like that, obviously it comes to pass real quick. So that's kind of where we're at and where we've been so far.
All right, and then you guys are the first team to actually come from outside the Chicagoland and play in the Jack Tosh tournament. So what do you think is keeping your players excited to play in such a very competitive and loaded with teams this year in this tournament? What's going to make them most excited to come out here and give it their best?
Well, personally, from the coaching standpoint, when I heard that, what an honor, because that's a pretty close-knit bunch, and they don't let outsiders in, so they at least thought enough of us in our program that we might be a good fit. Told that to our players, and they were highly impressed. And we played all over the country and played teams from all over the country. And, like I told them, it doesn't get any better than this. When you talk about holiday tournaments and Christmas tournaments, this is the best of the best. And so we're excited about coming up and trying to compete and seeing what we can do and just try to represent the best we can, and very thankful that we had a chance to be in it.
Coach Greaves, you lost the state championship in double overtime in 2021. What was the inspiration your team used to win it all in 2022?
Well, I thought we had enough that first year, but I wasn't quite sure. All right. And then we got that far. We just kept getting better. And then I realized, hey, we are that good. And I think we do belong, not just to be there, but to win it. And so we weren't strong enough. I think we got beat up a little bit physically, and just because we had lifted hard, but we weren't totally committed. And I told them right there on that floor, right after the game, I huddled them up at half court. I said, look, you can make it back here. You belong now. You got almost everything coming back. I said, but you got to hit the weight room. We can't miss a day. You got to get stronger. A point guard gained 30 pounds of muscle. Our off guard gained 18. Our shooting guard gained about 16. So every one of our kids took that to heart. And I told them, if you do that, you'll have a chance. If you don't do that, you have no chance. And the proof's in the pudding. They didn't miss. Took it real serious, and we had enough coming back. We are strong again this year, but we have different roles, and it's going to be a matter of can we adapt to those roles, and are they good enough in those roles? And I think guys like Matthew Zobrist, you're going to like him when he's healthy, and he's a sniper. He's got range from 30 feet, and he did that as a freshman at a sectional championship against Rock Island at the Renaissance there at Bradley. I mean, he's really a skilled player. You'll love him. And it's the same with Luke Hopp. He shows signs of brilliance. Just needs some more consistency, and that will come as he keeps playing more and more in that line. And that guys, as soon as he gets, so we've got the pieces to the puzzle. We just have to see if they can put them together.
All right. Well, thank you so much for taking your time out of your day, Coach. We wish you well in this tournament, and we hope to see you soon at the Jack Tosh.
Hey, when you get a chance, I'd love for you to come up, and I'd love to meet you, see who I talk to. And, hey, we can't thank you enough to take your time and effort and energy to make this, make us feel welcome. And, we can't wait to come up there and have a great time and see a lot of great basketball.
Oh, yeah. Christian and I will definitely make some time to come meet you. That's something we're probably going to look forward to doing. But you have a good day. We're going to let you go.
Now on to our next matchup. At 6 o'clock in the South Gym is the Glenbard East Rams against the Glenbrook South Titans. Josh and Gavin, can you tell us more about this matchup?
Yeah, so Glenbard East definitely coming in as the underdog. They've struggled mightily in the beginning of the season, starting out 4-8, but this is a team that everyone knows is planning for the future. A lot of sophomores that generate a lot of production, especially Mike Nee. He started every single game as a freshman last year while averaging 10 points per game, and this year he has stepped up mightily in the Thanksgiving tournament that Glenbard East plays in, averaging 21 points per game. Right beside him is Danny Snyder, who's a 5'11 sophomore. 2 years varsity experience as well. He is second in the team and made three-pointers behind Mike Nee. Additionally, guys to look out for, Ari Pearson and Alex Jajic are both seniors that are 3-year varsity starters. And, Glenbard East, this is definitely, the Tosh is going to be a learning experience for a lot of these younger players. And they are new to the Tosh, but it'll give them some great competition and allow these younger guys to really showcase their talents. I'm excited to watch Glenbard East, even though they're taking on a really tough opponent in Glenbrook South. I believe we have Glenbard East Coach Kelly on the phone right now. Coach Kelly, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Hi, Coach. How are you today?
I'm good. Thanks for asking. How about yourself?
So this is your first year at the Tosh. You have 5 seniors, but also 5 sophomores. How do you balance the youth versus experience when it comes to rotations and letting the younger guys gain experience?
Sure. I mean, so we have, first of all, like you said, 5 seniors, but they are, very mature, down to earth, and great kids who, welcome, guys who can contribute to the team. And so, as you mentioned before, we have 2 senior starters who have been pillars of the program the last 3 years. And so they're our leaders. But as you also mentioned, we get big production from those 2 sophomores, Mike Nee and Danny Snyder. Last game, we're coming off a win at East Aurora, where those 2 sophomores combined to shoot 10 out of 16 from the 3. Danny Snyder knocked down 4 threes, and Mike Nee made 6. And they're, like I said, our best shooters on the roster, and they're honestly 2 of the best shooters in the Upstate 8 Conference. But, they're all good kids, and, we have a good cohesive group. So that's why things are able to work well with a group of experienced guys and young guys, because they're really good kids and they get along.
And you seem to be a team to watch out in the future. What is your goal for your team at the Tosh this year?
Well, our goal is, as you said, we want to gain experience. This is our first year there as a group. And so we're obviously, you know, we get a lot of production from young guys. So we want to get the experience and we want to see, you know, what that high level of competition is like. And so, you know, when I saw that we drew Glenbrook South, I was very happy because I know they're very, you know, first of all, they're very well coached, you know, and then they have, you know, talent on the other side, kids that are going to play at the next level. And so our goal is to, you know, see that talent and what that looks like, what, you know, top 20 teams look like, you know, see what it's like to compete, because we expect to be, you know, hopefully in those shoes, you know, be like the Glenbrook Souths, you know, next year and really the next 2 years. So, you know, we've been competing, haven't had the most success in the world, but we're just looking to, you know, take our feet and put them in the deep end here and get that experience so we know what it's like to be with the big boys.
Coach, tell us a little bit more about these two star sophomores that both have very bright futures ahead of them. How have Mike Nee and Danny Snyder improved their games from going from freshmen to sophomores, and what can we expect them to bring to the table at this year's Jack Tosh tournament?
Sure. So, like, you know, as we said, you know, both guys from last year have grown physically and mentally. You know, they both have played travel ball, had some success on the travel circuit with some very well-respected programs. You know, Mike Nee is a coach's son, which helps. You know, his dad coached for a number of years out in the north suburbs at Maine South. And then his dad also played in college. And so, you know, with that, you know, Mike is he's only a sophomore, but he has the IQ and the savvy of an upperclassman. And he doesn't get rattled out there. He's our starting point guard. We put the ball in his hands. He makes a lot of decisions for us. And, you know, he's a smart kid and a good kid, well coached. Whatever you tell him to do, he'll do it. You know, he doesn't make the same mistake twice. And so he's a smart kid. Same can kind of be said about Danny Snyder, which, you know, they look totally different. You know, Mike's, 6 foot, dark haired sophomore, and Danny's a blonde, left-handed. And so, you know, Danny also, you know, played travel ball for a good program, had a really good summer. He's improved quite a bit as far as, you know, working on his weekend. He's able to drive the ball this weekend. One big improvement that he's made from last year to this year, he's able to shoot off the bounce, and he's able to score the ball from two-point range. So last year, primarily, a lot of his shots came from three. This year, he's able to mix it up and get to the mid-range and still make the three ball. As I said, he's second in the team in threes made, and he knocked down 4 threes the other night. He's shooting 42% on the season from three. And so, you know, Mike Nee, probably the improvement, biggest improvement he made from last year to this year, too, is scoring at the rim. You know, last year he was a little bit smaller, grew a couple inches this year, so he's getting a couple more buckets from two. So I would say the biggest difference from last year to this year with those guys is not only are they able to make the three ball, but they're able to score from two-point range.
And we look forward to seeing those sophomores shine in the tournament this year. Thank you so much for joining us, Coach, and good luck at your first Jack Tosh Holiday Classic.
Thank you. We look forward to being there. We appreciate you guys having us there.
Thank you.
All right,
now, Josh, what can you tell us about their opponent, the Glenbrook South Titans, a team that has had a lot of success in the Tosh in the past?
Yes, I think last year was their first year at the Tosh, and they were very impressive as they lost in the quarterfinals to Rolling Meadows, which went on to win the Jack Tosh Holiday Classic last year. But it was a very close game, only a 10-point loss. They stayed within range the entire game. They were a very good squad last year, and they are returning a lot of players and looking to keep that skill going from Glenbrook South, as they've been a good program for a number of years under their Hall of Fame coach. They are a great shooting team. They really know how to find their shot, as they shoot 61% from two-point range, and they really show their shooting prowess at the free throw line. A very, very high number for a high school program, shooting 81% from the free throw line. And they are led by their senior, Nick Taylor, who is committed to Winona State, and he showed off last year, averaging 14.5 points per game. And that leads us into the final matchup of the South Gym's first day lineup of games, and that's going to be the 7:30 game between the Downers Grove South Mustangs and the Batavia Bulldogs. TJ and Nick, can you tell us a little bit about those two teams?
Yeah, of course. I mean, the Bulldogs are off to a great start this season, set with a 7-1 record, kind of a surprise start. They're currently on a 5-game win streak. They were led by the Justin and Daniel Servitis twin brothers and forwards for DGS. Both were fantastic players at the Tosh last year, and I believe we have Coach Miller on the line. Coach, can you hear us?
Yes, how you guys doing?
Good, how are you? Congrats, Coach, on the great start. You guys have been a surprise team to many with your 7-1 record, but you have a ton of players with experience back on this team from the Tosh last year. Tell us about your top players to watch out for at the Tosh.
Yeah, I mean, I think we return a lot. You know, we've got a lot of experience at the guard play. The C. Terraces have both been around for 3 years, and I think in terms of points, right, those guys are kind of at the top, but we got our guards we're really deep. You know, we have Keon Maggot, who's a junior guard. He had a big game for us on Saturday. You know, he's averaging 9 points, 4.5 boards, assists. Jalen House, 9 points. You know, I mean, we got him averaging 9 points. Richard Gasman's averaging like 8 points. You know, so there's a lot of guys that are in that range, and it's just kind of been a real balanced collective effort from everybody, top to bottom. You know what I mean? And we're getting a lot of those points off from the defensive end, right, turning into offense.
And then, of course, your dad, Scott Miller, is a Hall of Fame coach, and he participated in the Jack Tosh tournament. What advice does he give you when it comes to playing in this tournament?
Well, I try to keep those words, the Hall of Fame, out of my mouth as much as possible, right? I got to keep his ego right down a little bit. But no, it's been great having him on the bench with me. He's you know, just a real calming voice, you know, in practices and games, and just kind of, you know, navigating through a season, right? Especially this is my first time with a team that's, you know, on the better side of things, right, than we've been the last 2 years. So just kind of being able to navigate that and how to balance getting after them, when to get after them, and how to save them up for, you know, planning on playing 5 games next week, right? And that we're easy on their legs, and just focusing more on us, not so much our opponents here these next week.
Yeah, Coach, it seems like you're really prepared to make a deep run, and that's what you guys have been known for in the past few years, making deep runs in this tournament. What will it take for this year's team to make a deep run?
I think just being who we are, right? Just defense. It starts with defense with us, and just getting after teams defensively, and just creating that you know, chaotic track meet like style of play that really lends itself for us to get easy baskets and just kind of getting us going on the offensive end, right? And helps us with our spacing and you know, getting downhill and creating for others. And I think one thing that with all of our guys is that you know, we're deep. You know, we play, you know, 8, 9 guys. I think that'll also help us you know, try to make a deep run here. I mean, this is the Tosh. We say it every year, right? It's loaded. It's the best term in the state. But man, Vinny got 32 juggernauts this year, man. It's from top to bottom. There's not an easy spot to be.
And yeah, Coach, you guys put a real scare into one of the top seeds in Downers Grove North, and you guys had a shot to win it. Does that give your team confidence headed in, as many regard them as being one of the toughest basketball tournaments in the state?
I definitely think so. I mean, you know, Jimmy has been doing it over there for, you know, quite a bit now, and he, you know, we've told our guy, right? It's kind of been the standard, right, of how to play on both ends, and I think our guys were finally able to match that a little bit, and I think it does give them confidence. I don't know if they necessarily did we need it, right? But I think it was more for them to feel like now that they're being seen, right, and kind of like their work and the time has been validated, you know. And I've been telling these guys for months now, you know, and I said I almost feel like I was selling them a dream, right, of how we can play and what we can do, and I kind of feel like that kind of justified how close we are, right? And because they battled, and it was a good battle, but I told them, you know, as tough as Saturday was, you know, we're going to have 4 or 5 of those next week, you know, those type battles. And I think they're ready for it. They're excited. It's a new mindset going into the Tosh than maybe we've had last year. You know, where we feel like now we're going to compete, you know, for 5 days.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like you've prepared them really well for this tournament. And Coach, thank you so much for coming on and talking to us today. We really appreciate it, and we wish you luck in the tournament.
Thank you. I appreciate you guys having me on. You guys do a great job. This is this is a great time of year, and you guys do nothing but the best with the Tosh. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
And on to the team that Downers Grove South is going against is the Batavia Bulldogs at 8-2. TJ, tell us a little bit about the Bulldogs.
I mean, just like you said, Nick, they're coming into 8-2 into the Tosh. This is no stranger to close games in the Tosh, where they had to play a tough game that went to double overtime against Wheaton North last year in the consolation semifinals that they ended up losing. But they're a really strong team, and I expect a lot out of them. Coach Nazos has done a great job. One of the best players on this team is his son, Nate. They look to him to really do as much as possible for him. They also have a very talented left-handed shooter, Jax Abalos, who's 6'7", and I think we have Coach Nazos on right now. Can you hear us here, Coach?
Yes, I can. Thank you.
How are you doing today?
Good, thanks. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, for sure. You guys are coming into this tournament at 8-2. You're just getting all your football players into the rotation and into the swing of things of the basketball season. And your son Nate is one of your best players. How rewarding has that been for you as a coach?
You know what? It's probably something that I'll look back on years from now and probably be more fond of, because in the moment you're kind of trying to put a team together and get things going. But you know, it's good. It's fun. Actually, all these kids here, we have 14 seniors on the team, and you know what? Seems like I've been coaching them for, you know, over 10 years. So had a lot of them, you know, growing up, and the whole group's been fun.
Yeah, that's great. 14 seniors is a lot. Go on to another one of your players, Jax Abalos. He's a big-time lefty shooter, and at 6'7", he's a matchup nightmare for anyone on the court. He has some D1 offers already. What schools have recruited him the hardest up until this point?
Well, the obvious ones are Eastern Illinois. They've offered him, and so has Bryan University has offered him. You know, recently North Dakota State was out to a game. He actually went out there and visited there too. Miami of Ohio has been out, and he went out and visited Miami of Ohio too. So Colorado State came out and looked at him. They've been in contact with him. So you know, he's got a huge upside. He loves to play. You know, he shoots the ball very well, and you know, no doubt his best basketball is still yet to come.
And another player that you have, 6'6", CJ Valente. He was one of your more dominating players last year. But who are some other players besides the people we've already named that have really stepped up the most so far for you guys this season?
You know, those three have been starting with, you know, Nate, CJ, and Jax have all been starting for us. The other two starters are, you know, Jacob Azeltine is a senior guard. And he's somebody that had a very big game against Geneva last week, had a lot of big shots. And he's somebody that's actually committed for baseball to Olivet Nazarene. Also, the other starter is Kyle Porter, you know, about 6'6" post. And he is somebody who's just gotten better and better each year. And now he had 18 points against Geneva last week, and has been playing, you know, really well. He's somebody that came off the football season. So, you know, a week ago he started getting all of his basketball legs together, like CJ, and you know, I think we're, you know, been playing a lot better recently.
And Coach, obviously you have a lot of experience from all these seniors going into the tournament. How will their experience play into you guys making a deep run into this tournament potentially?
You know what? During games right now, they seem composed. You know, another team may make a run, and we seem really good at stopping runs and staying in with things for us offensively. And you know, I think there's no substitute for experience and going through things and knowing what to expect. And you know, it's a team that I think they all get along. They all care for each other. It's a fun group of, you know, guys just to be around. So you know, I think they're no doubt they're looking forward to it. Love the experience too, and so everything, yeah, it's been going good.
Yeah, I mean, thank you so much, Coach, for joining us here today. We really appreciate you coming on and talking to us.
Is Coach Dorn on the show right now, too? Is he around?
Yeah, he's in the back room right now.
He's in the back right now.
Tell Coach Dorn, you just make sure the hospitality room is good and everything else.
It's the game of the tournament.
Look forward to seeing all the guys again that we see once a year over there.
Hey, yeah, you guys are banned from hospitality, and you have 35 coaches on your staff. We don't have enough chairs, so let's trim it down when you arrive.
And with that being our last matchup here in that quadrant, we'll send it back to everyone here at the table. We'll go over who we think will be coming out of this part of the bracket.
I think it's got to be the Titans of Glenbrook South. Metamora, of course, one of the best teams in the state. However, traveling all the way up from Peoria, and I don't know what their home situations are. I don't know if they're coming up each day or probably most likely going to stay in a hotel. That's going to have an effect on these high school kids, and I really believe the experience and the connectiveness that Glenbrook South has to offer will lead them to come out and be in the semifinal slot from this quadrant of the bracket.
I'm going to go DGS. So far, 2 Downers Grove teams picked, but I think the Mustangs are one of the most complete teams in the entire field. I really do believe that. The improvement from the Severitas twins is real, and I feel like last year you kind of saw the Mustangs grow as the tournament went on, kind of in confidence and inability, and the jump between last year to this year is clearly evident. They're returning a lot of guys. They're familiar with the tournament. I trust in Coach Miller, and along with that, we've seen them go toe-to-toe with some of the best. They lost by 4 points to Downers Grove North. They had a chance to win that game. They won their last 5 games before that. I think the Mustangs are poised perfectly to make a deep run. I think they have the talent to do it. They have the confidence and the coaching to do it as well.
I'm going to have to go with the Glenbrook South Titans as well. I just think they're such a well-rounded team. They really have a strong player in Nick Taylor who dominates inside for them, and they can have a lot of great shooters on the perimeter that they can pass it out to, like Anestis Hajistamalu. We saw him playing really well last year in the tournament. I know he'll come back and he'll be ready to go. They're so strong defensively on the perimeter, and I just think that this is one of the better teams that we have here in the Jack Tosh tournament this year.
I'm actually going to take Metamora. Josh, I know you mentioned that traveling thing might be an issue. I do think that they are going to stay in a hotel. They will be rested overnight in those nice, comfy hotel beds and go out there and play their best game. They're obviously one of the best teams in the state, the only ranked team that we mentioned before in the state of Illinois to enter the season. So I think they get the job done.
Sounds good, and that will conclude the top half of the bracket, and that concludes the South Gym Games for the first day of the Jack Tosh Holiday Classic. Stay right here for us to begin the march through the Campbell Gym Games, where some might say the matchups are even better. That shows you how good the teams are and how deep the Jack Tosh Holiday Classic is this year.
Yes, sir.
How are you doing today?
I'm doing well, man. Happy to be on with you guys.
Yeah, it's a pleasure to have you on here. With the Jack Tosh tournament coming up, a little soon, but we wanted to ask you some questions about your experience personally, because we knew you obviously were a great player when it comes to the Jack Tosh tournament. So I'm going to get it started with the first question. Is you won the first tournament, or you won the tournament player of the tournament award in 1991 and 1992. You also had the most points scored in a single game with 54 at the Tosh. Would you consider that your most fond memory of the Tosh, or you got any other great memories that stick out to you personally?
Yeah, I mean, playing in the Tosh tournament was always a great, thrill for me. I actually had an opportunity to play 4 years, and our teams kind of got better with each year, and to play in 2 championship games, in 91 and then win the championship in 92. And certainly I had my career high at that tournament, scoring 54 in the semifinals of the 94 tournament, the 91 tournament was one of the highlights of my career. I mean, I remember that game vividly. Anytime you score like that and are feeling that good out there, you're always going to remember that night. And I always, now going back and having a chance to come back and watch the tournament on a recruiting aspect as a coach, I always get great memories, walking into York and being at the tournament from my playing days back in the 90s.
For sure. And I kind of got a quick question about the kind of recruiting part about that.
Yeah, Coach Collins, we've seen you or Coach James at the Jack Tosh kind of scouting out kids and doing your part in recruiting. Just how important is a tournament like the Jack Tosh in terms of recruiting in the state of Illinois?
Well, the Tosh has become one of the premier events in the state of Illinois. If you look at the way the tournament is run, the amount of teams now, it continues to grow. And, for us to be able to come and watch the local talent play against the best teams, the competition is great. The games are always very well contested and very well played, and you get a chance to see teams like, I know even when I played back, it was always exciting, playing some teams that you didn't get a chance to play, kind of during the normal season. You get used to playing in your conference and the teams kind of in your area, but to play some of the teams maybe from the city, from the western suburbs, get a chance to play different coaches, different competition levels. It's great now for me as a college coach to be able to come there and get a really good evaluation on some of the top talent in the area.
Yeah, for sure. And with all that extra talent, compared to when you actually played and then versus now, what do you think, what are the biggest differences you realize in high school basketball between when you played and now?
Yeah, I just think, on a general whole, players are bigger, stronger, faster, than they were 20, 30 years ago, with nutrition, with weight training, with what guys now are doing at an earlier age with skill development. You're just seeing kids in high school just be more advanced physically, than we were, back in that time. And, and being at events like the Tosh, which is great. You've just seen the tournament grow. I think there's more teams, the level of competition has gotten even better, since even the time when I played, and it's been fun to see that. It's an event that I always hold dear to my heart just because of being there 4 years in a row. And it's fun to see the level of players and talent. You look at the amount of guys that have gone on to play at the college level from the tournament. It's amazing the amount of talent they've been able to have over the last 30 years.
Yeah, Coach, you mentioned seeing a lot of great players each year at the tournament right now, but do you remember any other great players that went on to play at college or even in the NBA when you played against them at the Tosh tournament?
Yeah, for me, there were a number of guys who ended up playing in college, whether it be Division I level or even other levels on the college level. It was fun. There weren't any specific rivalries I remember, but like I said, it was really fun for us to be able to compete against teams we didn't see, during the course of the regular season. I remember playing against some of those Glenbard teams and Hinsdale teams and, teams from Wheaton that had really good players, really good athletes, were really well coached. And, some of the Catholic League teams at the time would be in the event as well. So, it was more just a level of competition on a whole. And obviously it was a long time ago, for me, thinking back to the late 80s, early 90s. But like I said, that what York has done there and to keep the tradition of the tournament alive, and not only to do that, but to raise the level, has made it, one of the great events in the area, especially during the holidays. It's great to always come back and watch the games. And I always get the program to make sure the 54 points is still standing. So it's good that that's still on the top of the heap. But I know one of these days somebody's going to one up that. So I'm going to try to hold on to it as long as I can.
For sure. I definitely want to hold on to that one as long as you possibly can. We want to thank you so much, Coach Collins. And we know that you got a lot of planning to do for tomorrow's game, so we'll let you go here. But we really appreciate you coming on and answering some of our questions about the tournament.
Yeah, of course. Look forward to seeing you guys at the tournament this year, as always.
All right. Thank you very much, Coach.
Thanks.
And now, looking at the first matchup for the section of the bracket that has the Campbell Gym games, it's the 9 o'clock game. The Lake Forest Scouts sitting at 7-3 versus the Palatine Pirates at 8-3. The Scouts, we've talked a lot about them this last year because they were very talented, and one of their leaders on this team was a huge impact player last year, and that's Tommy Eberly. In fact, he just scored his 1,000th career point in a win over Libertyville. Coach LaScala is the coach for the Lake Forest Scouts, and he has 2 Jack Tosh titles, so Lake Forest is very familiar with this tournament and very familiar with winning at this tournament. Phil LaScala's team is very well known for their man-to-man defense. I mentioned Tommy Eberly is a very physical player, along with Hudson Scroggins, who's a 6'7" post player. He gives them a strong inside body, and Balaran Taiwo is a 6'1" guard that adds some guard depth and production for the Scouts. We have Coach Lascala on the phone right now. Coach, are you there?
Yes, I'm here. Thanks for having me.
Coach, Tommy Eberle has had a fantastic career with your team, just scoring his 1,000th career point. How has he evolved as a player while he's been on your team, and how has he evolved as a leader that can be useful in this tournament?
He's evolved tremendously in a lot of different ways. We've asked him to, he's a 4-year varsity player, and we've asked him to do a lot of different roles. And this year his roles have even changed a little bit more. We've asked him to play point guard this year, and he's really taken a great pride in it, and tremendous leadership of running our team, and getting us in the positions to be successful.
Yes, and Coach, another big change of your roster is losing the great Asa Thomas, who is now over at Clemson. How have you changed the way you guys play basketball after losing such a talent like that?
Yeah, Asa's obviously was a 4-year, varsity player, and obviously really an awesome. Not only did we lose him as a player, but as a kid, he's just a great kid to be, great teammate, great person to be around. But yeah, our team hasn't changed a ton in regard to obviously losing him, but how we play, we haven't changed a ton. A little bit more. We try to get the ball inside a little bit more, but we also try to do that with him as well. So, it was something that evolved as well, and we just try to stick to it and get Hudson the ball inside. We even give Aberle touches inside. So, we try to work outside in and be successful offensively that way. That's pretty much how it's evolved since he's been gone, and try to probably get the ball inside just a little bit more. But we really started trying to do that last year as well with during his senior year, and really use his height to his advantage, not just his shooting ability.
Coach, you've done your fair share of winning while being the head coach for Lake Forest here at the Tosh, but you're going to have a bit of a tough matchup against the Palatine Pirates, who had won a lot of games at the Tosh last year, and they return a lot of that production. What are your expectations going into a first-round matchup against a very talented team?
Yeah. We weren't very happy with our draw. Tell Coach Duran, but you know what? This is a tough tournament, so you're going to play somebody good no matter who you play. So both teams got to be there be there ready to go at 9:00 a.m. So they're in the same boat we are. We're looking forward to the opportunity to play a good team. I'll tell you that. The kids are excited to be in it and getting ready to go this week for Palatine. Yeah, we realize that they are they're very talented, and they're very skilled offensively, and play a nice ball press zone, and they do a good job, and are well coached by Coach Milstrom. So.
Well, thank you, Coach. We appreciate you taking the call, and best of luck to you and Lake Forest in the tournament.
All right. Thanks for having me, and thanks for having us in the tournament. It's a great tournament. We're looking forward to people coming out and watching. All right.
That was Lake Forest head coach Phil Lascala. Now, Josh, you touched on Palatine a little bit, returning a lot of production from a team that was super fun to watch last year. What more can you tell us about the Pirates?
Yeah, the Pirates are one of my favorite teams to watch in the tournament over the last couple of seasons. They've been extremely incredible on the defensive end of the floor, setting records at the Jack Tosh Holiday Classic with the number of steals in the game, setting that record, I want to say, against Hinsdale South with 17 steals, then nearly matching that the next game with 12 against their next opponent. So this team is a great defensive team. Hands are always out. They're very handsy and trying to get into those passing lanes and trying to cause breakups and abilities to create turnovers and fast break opportunities where they can use their length and athletic ability and their seemingly endless amount of wings that they have on their team and use them in transition to be able to get easy buckets. And when those buckets aren't easy, they turn to one man. And that man is Connor May, who scored his 1,000th career point this season. And he's committed to play at the next level with Washington University in St. Louis. He averaged 26.3 points per game, as well as 7.3 rebounds, and a tournament high in one game of 36 points, all happening during last year's Tosh tournament. He was incredible, was one of the best scorers. He seemingly could get any shot he wanted on the floor, and he's the leader of this team, and his right-hand man is Tommy Elter, who is another great wing for that team. He's a 3-year varsity returner, and he's the glue to this Palatine's team. And I think we have Coach Millstone on the line. In just a moment, we will have Coach Millstone on the line to walk us through this great team and what he looks forward after losing multiple players last year.
And you touched on the athleticism of Palatine. How about this stat? All 5 of Palatine's starters are multi-sport athletes.
Wow.
It's just an unbelievable thing to have all 5 of your players just in great shape, playing together in some sports. The chemistry is there, and, it just gives you such a competitive advantage. And especially for a tournament of this caliber, where it's 5 games in 5 days, you need the conditioning.
Yeah.
So for all the football players, or I know some guys run track, you instantly have an advantage, and they're going to need as many advantages as they can get, because Lake Forest is a very, very good and well-coached team as well.
Definitely, and either of these teams, whichever one ends up winning and losing, will be one of the favorites to go on and win the Tosh as a whole, as well as the consolation bracket. They will probably be the favorite in that consolation bracket. I'd say this is probably the best matchup of day one. Both teams are high-flying, fast-paced. They like to create turnovers. They like to get the ball going, and the shot clock is only going to help that in this year's tournament, and we are really looking forward to just an absolutely amazing matchup between these two stellar teams. And here we have Coach Millstone of the defending conference champion Palatine Pirates. Thank you for joining us this afternoon, Coach.
Thank you, guys. Pleasure.
And looking forward to this matchup, what are you preparing your team for, and what are you looking forward to against facing such a great team in Lake Forest?
Well, first of all, we're not looking forward to the matchup, but we know we have to play them, and we know what we're getting every time that we play Lake Forest. We've had some decent games with them in the past, and obviously Coach Lascala is one of the best in the business. So this is not a game that we can just kind of go through the motions or expect to show up and expect the other team not to be on. So we're going to have to be tight in all aspects of our game, offensively and defensively.
Coach, both Connor May and Tommy Elter were on the team last year. How has the chemistry of the team improved, given that you have an extra year with these guys playing together?
Yeah, anytime that you can get your best players back, it's going to help. And the thing with Connor and Tommy is they've taken a step up with their production, but their leadership has been invaluable so far this year, and I think that's probably the thing that's helped us the most this year with so many new faces, is that we need guys who've been there, done that, trying to help the new guys along. And the numbers have been better for Tommy and Connor both this year, but just the stuff that they're doing, the intangibles, has just made us, they've made us a better team than we thought we'd be at this point.
And you guys have had a stellar defense at the Tosh, breaking the record for the single game steal record at the Tosh. What do you do to prepare your team to be able to just read passes in such a great way and be able to read and react in such a talented fashion to be able to get those kind of steals and get those fast breaks you're looking for that create easy buckets for your team?
That's a good question. If I knew, we'd probably be doing a little bit more. I think we've had a couple, games where we struck lightning in a bottle defensively, and maybe got some teams just to kind of turn the ball over a little bit more than they wanted to. I think it's just probably a matter of being in the right place at the right time, and just being fundamentally sound and showing discipline. And sometimes the more disciplined you are, the more teams have a tendency to unravel. So I think just staying true to our spots and our coverages, and just showing some discipline at the defensive end of the floor.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining us, Coach. Good luck in the tournament. And whatever happens, we're sorry about having to face Lake Forest first round. It's going to be a tough matchup, but it'll definitely be a fun game to watch.
All right, well, I appreciate it, and thanks for all that you guys do. You run a first-rate production there.
Thank you.
Okay, take care, guys.
You too. And now we move on to another matchup that will face the winner of that amazing Lake Forest Palatine game, and that will be Minooka versus Riverside Brookfield.
Yeah, and a little bit about this Riverside Brookfield team. They were one of the more fun teams to watch last year in the tournament. They have returning senior center Stefan Sisic. He's a 7-footer. He's really a matchup nightmare for most teams, being that tall at the high school level. He was second team in All-State last year. Currently has 7 Division I offers. He's averaging 18 points and 10 rebounds a night while shooting 75% from the floor. You also have to watch out for the super sophomore Cameron Mercer. He's averaging 13 points per game himself. He's the son of former Kentucky All-American and NBA player Ron Mercer. Coach Rudgreiber's teams have always been really deadly from beyond the three-point line, and that's what Steven Stitches kind of does to them. He draws the players in, he takes it back out because he has great vision. We saw it at the Tosh last year. They're looking to get past that quarterfinal slot that they got last year, and we'll now go to our interview with Coach Ryan Gruber from earlier in the week. Hello, Coach. Are you there?
Hi, I am. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Great. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, our pleasure. Just going to run through a couple quick questions here with you, obviously about the Tosh coming up in a couple of weeks. First off, how do you guys feel coming into this tournament, just to get a little update on that?
Sure. I mean, I feel we're playing pretty good basketball right now. We're sitting at 8-1, and we've won a number of games in a row since Thanksgiving, and I like the direction our team is headed.
Good to know. 8-1, great start to the year, of course. We know you lost a couple of guys last year through graduation, especially two of your better scores, at least that we saw in the Tosh with Gonzalez and Elajocious. How are you able to reload so quickly and keep this team competitive this year?
Well, our team really kind of centers around our center, Stefan Sisic, who was an all-tournament selection last year and second-team All-Stater as well. At 6'11", 7 foot, 250 pounds, and pretty skilled offensively. He's hard to prepare for. And, we had a good stable of younger guards, a lot of guys that really came up from the sophomore team last year, as well as a couple players that played some small roles last year with us, and just kind of go from there. But everything kind of starts with the big fella.
Yeah, it kind of seems like the seniors from last year kind of led the underclassmen up and taught them how to compete and stuff. So it feels like you guys got good leadership going in your program.
Yeah, with our program. Yeah, absolutely. With our program, just for years, it's been usually a pretty senior dominated group year in and year out, and they just kind of pass the torch to the next group. And that's kind of what's going on right now. We do have couple younger guys, a sophomore that is one of our better players, as well as a couple juniors that play significant minutes. But year in and year out, it's really our seniors that kind of lead that tradition of our program.
Yeah, I mean, and you guys got a great tradition. You've won 19 of your last 21 conference championships. What's kind of your secret to winning year in and year out? It seems like you guys get it done every single year.
It starts with the kids and the time that they put in. And, Coach McCluskey, starting back in about 2001 when he became the head coach, and I followed him in 2017-18, he really laid the foundation for the culture of the program. And it's, our kids love playing basketball. They're gym rats. And, I really think our program is kind of a developmental program in a sense where we don't have all these quote unquote studs coming in out of 8th grade into freshman year. Our players work, and there's a demanding off season for them, and they put in the time, and they love being in the gym, and that's half the battle. It makes my job easy.
And with that development, we've seen your team be very successful from behind the 3-point line in the last couple of years. Who are some of your top shooters coming into this season?
We want to put guys on the floor that could all shoot it, really, to be honest with you. So, Cameron Mercer, one of our sophomores, is probably our best perimeter shooter, I would say. But Stephen Brown, Makai Austin, two of our seniors, and then Danny Loftus, Sam Selvin, Joey Garvey, Vince Dockendorf have all really contributed behind the arc, and as well as a big fella. He can shoot it too. So, we spent a lot of time on shooting, and like I said, in the off season and in practice. And I want guys out there, so much of it is just shooting it confidently. I don't want guys looking over their shoulder. Is this a good shot? Is this a bad shot? I want guys out there ready to shoot, and if they're open, knock it down.
Yeah, and I know you mentioned Cameron Mercer. He's easily one of the best sophomores in our state. How is he progressing as a player just early in his high school career? Yeah, and what is it like to have him on your team?
Cameron is absolutely awesome to have on your team. He is we call him like the Energizer Bunny. He never stops, both offensively and defensively. He never takes a play off. I know in practice guys love having him on their team, but hate playing against him because he is just wired to go. And, he works really hard at his game. And, with the work ethic combined with how hard he plays, the sky is the limit for him.
And then just to get a little bit more information here on Sisic. You had mentioned he's 7 foot 250, which is just a massive body, especially in the world of high school basketball. 7 Division I offers. We know last year he was a great passer. We saw that kind of stand out in his game last year. What other parts of his game have really progressed since that last season?
Defensively, Stefan has come a long way. So we've really, focused on defense with him, primarily ball screen defense. Teams last year were really putting him into a lot of ball screens and having us figure it out. And, we had a successful year, but and he'd be the first to tell you, he wasn't great defensively, wasn't great guarding ball screens. And it's just been a focus almost every single day, even dating back to last season, to where now, we've adjusted a few things, but he definitely, the light bulb has gone on and he's figuring some things out. And when you've got him as a rim protector at the basket, and figuring out how to guard those ball screens, it's made our defense better, which has made our team better.
And talking about defense, you think that defense will play a big role in being able to win at the Tosh this year? Do you think having a big rim protector like that will be your big advantage against other teams?
Sure, I think it's an advantage on both sides of the ball, and I think to win a championship, especially a tournament as deep and as balanced as the Tosh, you need to have a great combination of both offense and defense. And I think that's kind of what we work on both every single day, and I think that's kind of the mentality. Obviously, you got to get stops and got to work on that end of the floor, but it doesn't do you any good if you can't put the ball in the basket either. So we definitely, in order to win a gauntlet of a tournament like the Tosh, definitely need to get it done on both ends of the floor.
Couldn't agree more. Great to have a kid like that out there on the floor for you. We thank you so much for giving us some of your time today to do this interview. We'll probably end up letting you go here. Is there anything else you want to say about your team here right before we get off here?
No, we're excited to be a part of it. We've been a part of the Tosh for a long time now, over 20 years now. It's one of the best tournaments. In my opinion, it's the best tournament out there. And, Coach Doran does a great job of bringing new teams in every year and improving the tournament every year and doing things like this that just make it a first-class event. And we're excited to be a part of it.
Yeah, thank you. We can't wait to see you play here at the Tosh this year. We hope you great success, and thank you for your time today, talking to us.
Thank you, guys. Really appreciate it, and best of luck with everything.
Thank you.
Yep, have a good day. And we're going to look into a little bit of their matchup against this Minooka Indians team. Nicola, can you tell us about them?
Yeah, Minooka obviously has a tough draw here in the first round, are led by new head coach Brett Haspel, and Minooka will bring a very new team to the Tosh this year. Their only returning player to see significant time last year in the Tosh is senior Micah Hamilton, who averaged 7.5 points per game and 5 rebounds per game. Coach Haspel, can you hear us?
I can hear you.
Thanks for coming on. Coach, you are an experienced head coach, and this is your first year at the Tosh. What have you learned or know about from previous coaches about the tournament?
Yeah, so I've only heard good things. It's exciting to be in a tournament with 32 teams. That's pretty cool. Having 2 gyms going at the same time, and I've heard the hospitality is fantastic there, so I'm looking forward to experiencing it myself.
Yeah, and Coach, we saw one of your players, Micah Hamilton, last year at the Tosh. How has he been a leader for your program this year, and what can you tell us a little bit about him as a player?
Yeah, so Micah is really the only experience that we bring back from last year's team. He's our leading scorer right now. He's a good inside presence. He's about 6'3", solidly built, so he's physical. He's learning how to. He played football also on the Nebraska football team that had a great season. So he's learning to carry us a little bit, and we're just waiting for some of our young guys to kind of come along and catch up with us.
Yeah, and Coach, your team had a very impressive win over Yorkville coming into the tournament. What makes this team dangerous?
Well, we guard really well. Our defense is way ahead of our offense right now. I think that's because our young guys have some length, and so we're pretty disruptive on that end of the floor. And you're right, we did have a good win at Yorkville, and we've been right in a bunch of other games. So we're a little more dangerous than I think people might expect. If we can get a little more mature on the offensive end, we're going to be a pretty solid team.
And Coach, what can you tell us a little bit about the rest of your team that's supporting Micah Hamilton?
Sure, I'll highlight a couple guys. So we have junior DJ Hampton. He's about 6'5". He's kind of like a Swiss Army knife type player. He's averaging about 9 points, 5 rebounds, 2 blocks, and a steal per game. So he's coming along. We have a sophomore that starts for us named Zane Caves, another 6'4" kid who's just kind of learning how to be a varsity player. And then we've got 2 kind of like forwards that are both juniors also, both 6'4", CJ Deckinga, who is committed to Michigan State for baseball, and Wes Owens. Both are athletic rebounders, getting better at finishing. So if we can put some pieces together, I think we can compete.
It seems like you guys have a lot of athletes on your team who play multiple sports, but are very athletic and can get the job done. Thank you, Coach, for coming out and talking to us today. We hope you great success in the tournament.
Thanks for having me. Looking forward to experiencing the Tosh.
Thank you.
I'll now be looking towards our next matchup, which will be Lyons Township Lions taking on St. Pat's in the Campbell Gym at 12 o'clock. Josh and Gavin, what can you tell us about these 2 teams and what we can expect in their matchup?
So St. Pat's is ironically the favorite, which is not something that you really see in a game with Lyons Township in it. Their leader of this team is E.J. Breland. He's a 6-foot junior point guard. Played last year as a sophomore and was named all-conference in St. Pat's conference. Already he's making his mark, averaging 15.7 points per game and shooting above 50% from 3. A.J. Thomas is another guy to look out for, averaging 10 points per game, the second leading scorer behind Breland. He also leads the team in steals and deflections. St. Pat's is always a dangerous team. They have their notable zone defense that they love to run. They ran it last year, got a lot of recognition. And they have one of the most notable coaches with Coach Bailey. He has been the coach for 30 years and has over 500 wins, one of the most impressive resumes. And as always, St. Patrick has high aspirations for the Jack Tosh. They're looking to make a deep run. And it's interesting because they're catching Lions at a bit of a down year. So this is the opportunity for St. Pat's to pick up a good opening day win and, progress and move far into the tournament.
They have definitely a very interesting matchup here against a Lyons Township team that has been very successful here at the Tosh, finishing second in each of the last 2 seasons, and they have the second most wins of all time at the Jack Tosh Holiday Classic, assuming behind only York, and And we will be talking to the coach of Lions Township, Coach Sloan. Can you hear us?
Hey, guys.
How you doing, Coach?
Good. How are you?
We're doing well. So there's been a lot of change from your team last year to this year, losing the top 5 scorers on your team last year. How have you adjusted your coaching style to be able to compare to the roster you have now versus the one you had last year?
Yeah. I mean, I think most high school teams have a pretty big change from year to year. Unless you have a good number of younger kids playing in a given season. In the last 2 seasons, we've had senior-dominated teams, so it was not really a surprise after last season that we would have most of our scorers going. But we like our group this year. We still play a very high number of seniors this year. Brady Chambers is the one coming back with the most experience. And he did a lot of good things for us last year, and he's having a really nice year for us this year too. Brady's a big kid. He's about 6'6", and we have another bigger player named Liam Taylor, who's a senior, who's 6'7" or 6'8", very skilled. So with those 2 guys, we have a nice combination of players who have good size, and they also have good skill, so they can play around the basket and also out on the perimeter. And then we have a group of 3, 4, 5 guys that are playing on the perimeter around them who play really hard and do a nice job of making shots when they're open and playing good defense. And, I think we played 8 games so far, and, we feel like we're getting a good amount of experience under our belt, and hopefully we can use that experience next week and start to really improve.
Coach, St. Pat's has such a notable defense that I believe it's a 1-3-1 zone that they've been running for so long. How do you game plan for such an intense defense, especially when you said there's been a lot of change in your roster from last year to this year?
Yeah, Coach Bailey does a tremendous job. They always have a team that plays incredibly hard, and they're talented on the offensive end and really make it difficult for you on the defensive end. We've actually, in the last couple weeks, we played just about every style of team that you can play. We played a 1-3-1 team. We played a 1-2-2 pressure team. We played a heavy man-to-man team. So we've seen just about everything that we can see. So that's been good experience for our guys to learn. We practice against different defenses, but then when you play against teams who work on that specific type of defense every day, you really get to see where maybe there are holes in a certain defense or things you might be able to get away with in practice that you can't when you're playing against a team of better athletes who are trained in that defense every day. So as far as specifically the St. Pat's defense, like I said, we played Glenbard West a week or so ago, and they play maybe a different style of the 1-3-1, but so that gave our guys some experience playing against it. And so now when we go to practice against it in the next couple days, they'll know, this is what worked, what didn't work when we played this type of defense last time, and we'll be able to watch it on video, what we did, what St. Pat's does. And hopefully we can pass and catch the ball and find gaps in the zone. And then really one of the keys is, when you have opportunities to get an open shot, you got to convert. And then if you don't, maybe we can get some of our bigger bodies on the offensive glass.
Definitely. And Coach, you and Lions Township have been very successful at the Jack Tosh as a program. What has been one of your favorite memories from the Jack Tosh Holiday Classic?
Other than getting a chance to work with Vince Doran every year, I would say it's really hard to pick one. we've played against so many good teams there. In the last couple of years, we played against multiple teams that have been to the state Final Four or actually won the championship. Playing against those teams, beating those teams, the high level of competition. That's really probably, if I can focus on one thing, it's probably playing games against really high level teams on a regular basis, and our kids just really enjoy playing there. It's close to home for our guys, so we get a nice crowd of our family and friends that are there, but also just LT fans come out and watch, and it's always a really exciting environment with just basketball fans that are there in the crowd. So I guess just playing against the high level competition, we've beaten some really good teams, and games that we've lost have been against teams that have won state or advanced really far. It's really hard to pick one specific moment.
Definitely. Well, thank you so much for talking to us, Coach. Good luck to your team in the tournament, and good luck against St. Pat's.
Thanks, guys. Looking forward to it. Thanks for having us.
Of course. Lyons Township hasn't necessarily had the record or outcomes that they probably would have wanted or expected coming into this season. However, I really do believe in them to give St. Pat's a run for their money, as you can never really count Coach Sloan and Lyons Township out of it. They're just such a storied program over the past decade and a half or so, where they've really been at the top of the West Suburban Silver Conference consistently year in, year out. So they'll be able to figure it out. The chemistry will get there. The talent is there. Bringing the team together and being able to be successful as Coach Sloan and Lyons Township specialty, especially at the Jack Tosh Holiday Classic. So this will definitely be a matchup to watch in the Campbell Gym. And speaking of a matchup to watch, two potential, one definite, Illinois, go Illini, basketball recruit in Jackson Jackstides, and the Yorkville Foxes go against, hopefully, future Illini, Phoenix Gill, and the St. Ignatius Wolfpack. What can you tell us about these two teams?
And like you were talking about Phoenix Gill, he's definitely their best player. He's averaging 19 points per game with 7 rebounds and 2.5 assists. To go along with that, 2 steals. Offers from Northwestern, Illinois, Stanford, Iowa State, Cal Poly, and Valpo. Some of the other guys to look out for with this team, though, is senior Reggie Ray. He's averaging 13.5, 5 boards, 2 assists, 1 steal as well. And Justin Scott, committed to play football at the Miami of Florida. Just a huge kid, great player to have in the paint. He's such a force down there. Philip Erickson, another senior, he's averaging 10 points as well. St. Ignatius is coming off a 4th place finish in the Jack Tosh Holiday Classic last year, where Phoenix Gill averaged about 11 points per game. So with him and other returning players like Reggie Ray coming back to play for this team once again, I can see them making another big trip down the path of the Jack Tosh Classic. All right, we are here with Coach Monroe from St. Ignatius. Coach, can you hear us?
Yes, I can. How you guys doing?
Good. How are you today?
Very good, very good. Thanks for asking.
So, Coach, we just had a couple questions here about your team heading into the Tosh tournament. It seems like a very similar story that we've been watching play out. You guys seem to start off a little slow, but once the Tosh comes around, you really start putting things together. You have had a really tough schedule so far this season. How do you feel your team has been able to overcome that and be more prepared for the Tosh tournament this year?
I was talking to our team a couple of days ago about it. We play a tough schedule by design. We want to be challenged, but we also want to use those games to kind of see what our shortcomings are and what we need to work on. I think the key to kind of handling maybe a slow start or working through a tough schedule is to keep perspective. We are super competitive. We want to win every game, and when we lose, it certainly is a disappointment, but the perspective is we certainly talk all the time. You either win or you learn. And so iron sharpens iron, and we certainly use it to help us drive forward. And I do think that the last couple of years, our difficult schedule and also going through some rough patches were a big part of the reason we had success later on in the season during the playoffs.
And Coach, Phoenix Gill and Reggie Ray really lead your team. Can you please tell us more about them as players and what they bring to this team?
Yeah, I'll start with Reggie first as a senior. Reggie is a real tough kid and a great young man, and he is certainly a leader to the team. He's shooting a very high percentage from three. He's also an excellent slasher getting to the rim, and he's had a lot of our tougher assignments in terms of guarding some of the opponent's best players on defense. You know, Reggie is only scratching the surface of how good of a season he's going to have. He's coming back from a long injury and a pretty long layoff, and he's only going to get better as he continues to get acclimated and continues to kind of shake off some of that rust. And he's already had a really good start to the season, and we're lucky to have him. And then Phoenix, obviously, is one of the top prospects in the state. He's a hard worker. He's a great teammate. He's extremely coachable. He's got a pretty diverse offensive game since he could score on three levels. And he's always also taken some of the top defensive assignments against our opponents as well. So both of those guys right now are combining for about 32 points a game for us. So certainly they do a lot of scoring, but they also get their teammates involved, and they trust their teammates to make big plays as well.
And Coach, one of your other players, Justin Scott, we know that he's committed to play football at Miami, but he's also a big factor on your team. Have you ever coached a player like him before, and how does he contribute to your team, especially low in the paint?
Yeah, Justin's a great kid. We're super excited about his Miami commitment. I'm really looking forward to watching him play college football and hopefully beyond. Basketball was Justin's first sport. He never really played football until he actually came to school at St. Ignatius. And that's one of the cool things about Justin and our team is he's playing for the love of the game. He is certainly one of our team leaders, and he impacts the game in a lot of different ways. Obviously, defensively, he takes up a lot of space. He's an outstanding defensive rebounder. And offensively, certainly can score around the basket, but he's one of the best passers we have on the team. When we went on, our nice run last year, Justin was a big part of it. I think during the last 10 to 12 games in our playoff run, he averaged like 6 to 8 points, 10 rebounds, 2 blocks, and he kind of did it on both ends for us. So I'm super excited about, the fact that he's with us for his senior campaign, and he's doing a great job.
And Coach, obviously you have a pretty tough first-round matchup with Yorkville. What do you think it will take to come out on top on this game?
Yeah, I think it's a really tough matchup. Yorkville has a really talented team. They had a great season last year, and kind of like us, they're kind of sorting through some early season ups and downs. But watching them on film, they really are turning the corner, and now they're pretty healthy compared to how they started the season. So it definitely is a really difficult matchup for us. The good thing is we've played a really tough schedule going, through the first 12 games of the season. So hopefully that will help prepare us. But to me, the keys are twofold. Obviously, we got to make sure that we team guard their posts and we are ready for their actions, and we certainly will have a lot of that covered and a lot of that practice. But at the end of the day, for us, it's really a few things. Number one, we got to continue to grow with how we share the basketball. Number two, we got to defend as a team consistently. And number three, we just got to make sure that we stick together in good times, but also when an opponent goes on a run. And I think those are 3 areas that we've really improved upon over the last couple of weeks. And I'm really looking forward to seeing how our guys bring those things to the table at the Jack Tosh.
Yeah, and for sure, Coach, we really appreciate you coming on today and giving us some more information about what we can expect from your guys here as we get into the tournament next week.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm super excited. I'm really proud of my guys. I have such a special group of young men to coach, and they just keep working hard and getting better, and I think the sky's the limit for them. So we're really looking forward to joining you guys again next week, and we can't wait.
Yep, thank you very much, Coach, and good luck to your team in this tournament.
Awesome. Thanks a ton.
Thank you.
All right, looking at this St. Ignatius matchup against the Yorkville Foxes, Nick, you want to tell us a little bit about Yorkville and what we can expect from them?
Yeah, Yorkville, they just joined the Tosh last year, and they came in with a decent record with 3-1. The all-tourney selection, Jackson is back for the Foxes after averaging almost 14 points per game and 9 rebounds per game last year. Jaxis is the number 4 recruit in Illinois who's planning to play at UIUC in college. Senior Jory Bully was also a key contributor last year for the Foxes, averaging 8 points per game. Coach, can you hear us?
I can hear you.
Can you just tell us a little bit more about this Yorkville team heading into the Tosh?
Yeah, so we went 26-6 last year, made it to a regional championship. We returned about 7 of our top 8 players, so we have most of our guys back from last year's team. Kind of got off to a bumpy start this season. We had some injuries. Played some games without our 3 leading scorers, Jason Chaxtis, Jory Boley, and Bryce Salick. So recently, the last couple of weeks, we've gotten healthy. We've started to play some better basketball. We've won our last 3 games and have started to do some stuff a little bit better at a more higher level, and kind of got back on track to where we hope to be this season. And especially with a lot of returners, we're excited that everyone's back, and hopefully we can make a good run at the Tosh here.
And yeah, you mentioned injuries early on in the season. What players were kind of trying to step up and fit into those roles, trying to fill in for those injured players for you early on?
Yeah, so we have 3 different point guards. We usually start 2 of them and kind of rotate 3 guards. 2 out of the 3 are always on the floor between Mike Dunn, Kavion Johnson, and Davion Johnson. So with some of our scorers out, we had to play all 3 of them at a time, which kind of made us undersized at times, and also kind of took away from different dynamics of our scoring ability. Taylor Clements, who's a junior, first-year player on varsity, has stepped up big time in some roles without Jason Jaxtis and Bryce and Jory at different times. So he had to start a lot of games as a first-time varsity player and expected to contribute and do some big things for us just because we were missing so many points. And we've had Will Eberhardt, Christian Harrell as well. One's a junior, one's a senior. Do some big things for us as well, trying to step up in those roles. But I think with getting everybody back healthy and getting everyone back on the floor, it's been good to kind of slide everyone back into their normal roles and kind of our normal fits for what we were hoping to have after this summer.
And Coach, like you mentioned, obviously Jason Jaxtis is a pretty special player. What is it like coaching him, and what does he bring to this team?
Yeah, he brings a lot. He's really great to coach. This is my 3rd year coaching him. He was on varsity as a sophomore. 6'10" kid. He can shoot it, drive it, post up. He's an elite shot blocker. It's something he's hoping to bring with him to University of Illinois next year as a shot blocker as well. We depend on him for a lot. His leadership, his positive attitude, just the way he carries himself and he plays. He has a huge impact on our team, and our team plays really confident with him on the floor. And I think that's just his steadiness and his personality and his competitiveness.
And then you have obviously a tough matchup against St. Ignatius here in the first round. What have you kind of told your team about them? What are you planning to do to try and get out early and take a quick lead against St. Ignatius in the first game?
Yeah, I mean, we were just talking about it a little bit ago. They run in transition. They've got a lot of guys that can score. They can shoot it. They can drive it. They're a very disciplined team. You could tell Coach Monroe's kind of a mentor of mine. He's done a great job at St. Ignatius, taking them down to state the last few years. Their team is really well coached. They're very, very talented. They're disciplined. They do stuff the right way, and it shows up on film. So we're gonna have to match that. We're gonna have to be competitive, aggressive, disciplined, take care of the basketball, do a lot of the simple things it takes to win games. We're gonna have to do that for 4 full quarters if we're gonna win.
Yeah, it obviously seems like you guys are pretty prepared to come into this Tosh, like firing on all cylinders early. Thank you, Coach, so much for coming in and talking to us today. We really appreciate you, and hope you great success in the tournament.
Thanks, I appreciate it. We always look forward to the Jack Tosh tournament. It's the best tournament in the state. We're looking forward to it. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Coach.
And with that being our last matchup here in this part of the bracket, we can look now at who we think will make it out of this section of the bracket.
This is definitely a very tough one. I could see up to 5 teams winning this slot in the semifinals. Wow. It is a very competitive bracket, but I think I'm going to go with my outlandish picks and ride with my boy going to the University of Illinois. And I'm going to go with Jason Jaxtis and the Yorkville Foxes.
I'm going to take Palatine. I think that everyone's underrating the chemistry that this team has and the coaching by Coach Millistone. And, Connor May scored 36 in a game last year, averaged, I want to say, like around 25, 26 points per game. The coach says that he's improved. And if he's somehow improved from last year to this year, it's going to be scary. So I just expect Palatine to be a much more complete and a much more disciplined team than they were last year, and I think that's exactly what they needed, and I expect them to win this side of the bracket.
I think Riverside Brookfield's going to take this one. I get your point with Palatine. I think they'll face off in that second round, but I think the monster of Stefan Sisic is just going to be too much for Palatine. 7 foot, he's a huge kid. He has great vision all across the court. He's got great shooters spread out around him. So if he's getting double, triple teamed inside to get stopped, he's got shooters around him that can make those shots and help out from the outside.
I couldn't agree with you more, TJ. I think Riverside Brookfield is going to win this side of the bracket too. Like you said, Steven Sisic is going to be an absolute animal in this tournament. 7 foot senior. I mean, not many teams are going to be able to stop that. Along with guys like Cameron Mercer averaging 13 points, like all around, they're a very solid team. I think that they're going to win this bracket pretty easily, actually.
And with that wraps up our penultimate quadrant. We only have one more to go before we get to the end of this preview show. So stick around as we preview the last set of 8 teams that will be a part of the Jack Tosh Holiday Classic.
3:30 in the Campbell Gym, we have Nazareth sitting at 4-6 versus Bolingbrook 7-1. Taking a look at Nazareth, this is the 3rd appearance for Talon Pearson, a forward for the Roadrunners. Last year he averaged 14.8 points per game. He was a really strong force, really carried the load offensively for Nazareth. So you got to imagine high expectations. His dad actually is the coach for this Nazareth squad. He went on to play at Kansas, so it's a super cool moment to have your dad be your coach, really. Apart from that, it's a lot of changeover for Nazareth, and they've played a couple games against teams that are in the Tosh. It's a 6-point loss to Stagg and a 6-point loss to Hinsdale South. Both of those matchups on the road. They've definitely had a tough schedule, so you got to imagine they're better than what their 4-6 record suggests. But I would say on paper, Bolingbrook for sure has the advantage.
For sure, Bolingbrook comes in as one of the favorites of this tournament. They are one of the best teams for the Tosh consistently, and they've especially added one of the most talented kids in the state of Illinois, and that is freshman Davion Thompson, who's been one of the best freshmen in the state. He is extremely impressive, including Coach Brose returning a lot of the players from last year that made him successful, and he's been successful pretty much every year, winning the title in 2019 and finishing 3rd last season and being successful in the year in between in 2021. So Coach Brost and this Bolingbrook squad always has a really, really good basketball team. They always know how to play. They're always defensively sound and really good at pulling away at the end. They have returners like Josh Aniceto, as well as DJ Strong, as well as Trey Brost, actually Coach Brost's son. They are all returning guards who are planning on having great runs in the Tosh Classic to bring Bolingbrook much farther than they expect this year, and hopefully going on to compete for that title of the Jack Tosh Holiday Classic. And speaking of Coach Brost, we had pre-recorded an interview with him earlier this week, so here is that interview with Coach Brost.
We know last year, and the past 3 years, you have played on day 5 all the past 3 years of the Tosh, winning the title in 2019 and taking 3rd place last year. How does this team, your current team this year, stack up against your previous teams?
Well, I mean, one of the things I don't like to do, but I'll answer the question as best I can, is compare, teams from year to year. Obviously, each team is unique and special, and I love them for what they are. I love last year's squad and the players, and, obviously I love my team this year as well. So, as far as comparing them, I think they both have unique attributes. Last year in general, we were big, tall, long, those types of things. This year, we're the exact opposite. We're guard heavy, with the exception of JT and Jason. So, the teams are completely different from year to year, but obviously we look forward to the Tosh every year, and we look forward to playing in such a great event.
Yeah, absolutely. You guys have been pretty good for a few years now. Another question I want to ask you about is having a freshman guard like Davion Thompson. How does he contribute to your team being so young?
Well, I mean, he's a great player all the way around. What's up, girls? Hold on, guys. What's up? Well, I'm on the phone right now, so to finish this up, but then I can be off there. All right, sorry. Yeah, he's at the same stage of development. He's the best freshman we've had since I've been here, and that's saying a lot. We've had a couple NBA players. We've had 20 or so Division I players since I've been here. So that's saying a lot. And he has poise beyond his years on the floor, and he's one of the leaders of our team, and we're certainly glad that Davion Thompson has a Raider uniform on.
Yeah, it seems like he's really coming to his own player at such a young age. Obviously, I mean, like you mentioned, having NBA players and like 20 D1 commits, you said like that's very impressive for your team. And other than Davion Thompson, you guys are known for having great backcourts, like DJ Strong, Josh, Enesito, your son Trey even. Are there any other guys that like we should watch out for at the Tosh? Like maybe going under the radar?
JT Pettigrew, he's not under the radar by any means. He was MVP of the Thanksgiving tournament we were in, and he's averaging a double-double, and he's about 6'7". So, he's one of the bigs that we do have. Last year we had 4 guys 6'8" or better. This year we have JT, who's 6'7", Jason, who's about 6'4", 6'5", Jason Lawani, who's a starter for us as well. And then Jashawn Brown, who's about 6'4", 6'5". So, we're guard heavy, and people kind of know this team for their guards, for our guards. And so, we try to, play off of that and use that to our advantage. But certainly, JT Pettigrew is a matchup nightmare for other teams as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Even losing all that height, you guys still have been doing very well this year, starting off 8-1. It's great to watch.
Yeah, I mean, I'm really happy with how we started. We won our Thanksgiving tournament. We beat 2 ranked teams in that tournament. So, we're excited about the Tosh, that's for sure.
Yeah, and one other thing about the Tosh, there has been a shot clock implemented this year, the 35-second shot clock. How do you feel about that?
I love the shot clock. I think it should be implemented statewide. I don't know why we don't have it. I think it's ridiculous that we don't have it. And so anytime we can play with it, I think it's not necessarily to our advantage, but it's, real basketball. And so I'm excited about it. I'm looking forward to playing with it. We just played in a shootout last weekend where they used it as well. And so, we're looking forward to that piece of it as well.
Yeah, I mean, of course, like the shot clock, it doesn't benefit anyone, but it's like thing that moves the game along. And so like a team obviously like can't like hold the ball, like run the clock out like for like the last 5 minutes of the game, something
right.
Crazy
And
like
you
that.
take a team like ours. If you get down against us and there's no shot clock, I mean, we can spread you out, and then it's really difficult to guard us. And it's really difficult to come back against us, in particular now with the 2-shot foul rule in addition. And so, I'm totally for the shot clock. I wish we would have it statewide, and I think it should be used in every game.
Yeah, I mean, obviously we couldn't agree more. Do you have any quick questions for us on anything about the Tosh this year?
I don't have any questions for you guys, but I just thank you guys for all your work and all the effort that you put in. I know this is a huge endeavor, and, this is all around the best event that we play in as far as tournaments, and we get invited to go a lot of places. And the Tosh is always first class all the way around, and you guys are a large part of that. So I just want to thank you guys for all that you do and all that you contribute to this event.
Well, yeah, thank you very much, Coach. And obviously, we appreciate your time coming in and talking to us today. I know you're probably busy and stuff preparing for games and stuff.
All good, man.
Yeah.
All good. We always love. I mean, if you guys need anything moving forward before games, after games, you can always contact me anytime.
No problem. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Good luck on the
All
rest
right,
of your
take
season,
care.
Coach.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Coach Brose, for taking the time to sit down with us and talk with us about his impressive team. And now moving on to the next matchup in the Campbell Gym, which is going to be a very popular team that has been a part of the Jack Tosh Holiday Classic for a few years in Lamont, as well as the St. Francis Spartans. Tej and Nick, can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, obviously St. Francis is off to a good start this year. They are 8-3 coming into the Jack Tosh. They have multiple really good players on their team. Kelton McEwen, one of them, is a transfer from Bartlett, and he's averaging 16 points per game this year. Seniors Aaron Cook and Dylan Ston are returning all-conference players for the Spartans. And junior guard Nico Quaranta has shown tremendous improvement as a player to watch. I believe we have an interview with Coach Dwyer. Coach, can you hear us?
I am here. How are you guys?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thank you.
Coach, so Kelton McEwen has been your star early on in this season. What can we look forward to seeing him at the Tosh?
Yeah, I mean, Kelton's obviously a solid four-year varsity player. He does a lot of stuff for us. He fits in really well because we don't really have a style where we just try to get one person the majority of the shots. We try to be fairly balanced, and he's been doing a great job, not just from the scoring standpoint, but he's taking care of the ball. He's playing excellent defense, and he's fitting great. So, I mean, I think you're going to see more of the same consistency of being very valuable, whether he's hitting shots or not. He's making us a better team. He's helping us win games.
And to talk a little bit about one of your younger guys, Gavin Mueller, 6'6" sophomore. He had a great freshman year for you guys and impressed a lot of people at the Tosh last year. How has he sort of been progressing and coming along now as a sophomore?
He's doing well. I mean, he's even bigger than he was last year. He's becoming more efficient around the basket, which comes with timing. And it's very easy to sometimes forget that he literally just turned 16. So, and defensively for us, because we can do a couple different things defensively. He can defend away from the basket, utilizing his length, and he's much more versatile as an athlete than people probably realize. So he's been doing really well. I mean, again, when you have Aaron Cook and Dylan Stone and Kelton kind of wrapped around him, he doesn't have to come out and have too much pressure to try to do more than anything other than just do like everybody else. But he's been great. He's defensively gives us the ability to defend ball screens different ways if we want to. We can switch up stuff if we need to. He's another guy that's been changing shots around the basket. He's rebounding on both sides of the floor really well. So, he's just a little bit better. I mean, every year I think you just get a little bit better with experience once physical development and skill development. And he's becoming much more consistent on both sides of the floor for us.
And Coach, like I mentioned before, your two seniors, Aaron Cook and Dylan Ston, are returning all-conference players. How has their leadership really helped your team improve this season?
You know what? In the summer, in July this past summer, we had one of our better players from a couple years ago on our sectional team, Brendan Russo, he's a walk-on at Santa Clara. He came back in the summer, and basically everybody just kind of followed along with him. And all of these kids went in the weight room consistently, came in and did a lot of their own individual work. And they spent a lot of time without coaches, and they kind of followed Brendan's lead and learning about their work ethic. And the one thing that Cook did, Aaron came off and probably gained about 15 pounds of just total body strength. So he's much stronger than he might look. He's got a little bit of a narrow lean to him, but overall, I mean, I can play him the point guard, I can put him in the post, I can play him on the wing. He was actually down for 2 weeks. We did not have him. He had just came back from the Lake Park game. We brought him in off the bench. He had a pretty bad ankle twist that we were very, very, just didn't rush it back. And then Dylan's been great for us because he can kind of do a lot of different things. He's kind of like our more versatile player. We run a lot of stuff through him. You know, he's got a competitive edge. He's one of our best leaders as far as, you know, effort and intensity and vocally. So he's been a great fit too.
And Coach Nico Carana has improved tremendously this year. We were lucky enough to watch him last year play. Is he a player to watch out for this year in the Tosh, though?
Yeah, we've had 2 nice wins in overtime where he's actually been a huge part of that, those comebacks. He's come into games and I think he's averaging about 4 to 5 steals a game, because I think the games are being officiated a little bit differently now because of these new rules. He's been allowed to get a little bit more. And he's another one that he's another year older. He's much stronger than what he was a year ago. He actually took July. He stopped playing on his travel team in July and just literally focused on lifting and working on his game. And spent a lot of time with Yeruso, and that's benefited big time. And you know what? Just when you bring a kid like Kelton onto your team and you add another veteran guard, it just, you know, things become easier for you, I think. He's quick, he's fast, he can get to the basket, he can create shots without us having to do something for him. He's been playing with a lot of confidence, and it's been fun to see.
All right, Coach, it seems like you guys are very well prepared to make a deep run, potentially make a deep run in this Tosh tournament. We thank you so much for coming on and talking to us today. We wish you the best of luck in the tournament.
Thanks, guys. And you guys, because this is one of the best. I know a lot of coaches probably it's one of the best holiday tournaments, if not the best, in the state of Illinois. Not only just the level of play and the quality competition, but Coach Durant and a lot of you guys and all the guys at the York staff, you guys do a phenomenal job. So it's a lot of fun to be part of it.
Thank you so much, Coach.
We mentioned before, you guys made it to the quarterfinals last year, showing you can really compete in the Tosh. Very young team, only 2 seniors. With Ryan and Claudius, how do they? I know you had mentioned that they came off the bench, but how do they try and lead this team for you?
Yeah, well, they kind of established their leadership roles in the summer, and really 2 different types of leaders. Claudius more vocal, and Ryan more by example and leadership on the court. But we're all just trying to learn together, and so far they've done a really good job.
So obviously your son Ryan and Claudius are the only 2 seniors on your roster. Please tell us how they are as players and leaders for this team.
Yeah, Claudius, like I said, really a vocal leader, a bit of a rah-rah guy, and just trying to keep everybody up. And, when he gets it going offensively, it can be very exciting. And Ryan's a little more, quiet, but definitely, our leader on the floor leads the team in assists, and by that way, showing leadership through how the ball should move and how it should be shared in our offense.
What impact will Matas have on your team when he finally makes his return back to rotation as we get into the Tosh?
Yeah, we're just trying to find out now. He's spotted some minutes Tuesday night against Andrew, and now we're going to try to get him incorporated into things this week, and it'll be interesting and exciting to get a player of his ability back. We just got to fit him in somehow. That's for sure. He's got to be on the floor.
Hey, Coach, obviously Ryan has been great for you guys this season. What is it like being able to coach your son?
It's been a lot of fun, and he's made it easy because he's an easy player to manage. He listens, he's attentive, and I think he's done a really good job of seeking a lot of wisdom from our assistant coach, Coach Ostrowski. So, when it's time to get in the car and go home, we don't really talk about too much basketball, not much Lamont basketball. We talk about other basketball, and it's easier when you've won 8 games, that's for sure.
And Coach, this year, obviously, you had a little bit of an adjustment, losing both the Castillo brothers. Which players do you think have stepped into that kind of main role for your team this season?
Well, I don't think anybody could fulfill all the things that they did. I mean, they just led us in everything. Ryan has led us in ball handling and assists and has scored enough. We've really kind of balanced scoring. We've had, Ryan's led us in scoring quite a bit, but we've had other guys as our second and third scorer.
And team defensively, I feel like just a little better that way as opposed to the individual abilities that both of those guys had.
Well, Coach, it seems like you guys have really come together as a team this season, even though you guys have some young players on your team. And we wish you great success in this tournament. And thank you obviously for coming on today. I'm sorry about the little technical issues, but
Hey, I understand, and we'll take your well wishes and your luck because it's going to be tough over there.
Thank you,
Thank you very much, Coach.
All right, thanks. Bye.
And with that last interview with the coach of St. Francis, we look to go to our next matchup between Conant and Glenbard North in the 6:30 slot. Gavin and Josh, what can you tell us about that game?
So Conant looks to be the underdog, but they are not to be taken lightly. They have a lot of good performances against Tosh teams, even though they ended up as losses, losing narrowly to Wheaton North on the road and by 11 to Naperville North on the road as well. And, Conant is dominated by their big three. Yusuf Sisi, Camden Lathos, and Bradley Beedke are all guys who have a lot of varsity experience. And this year, Camden Lathos is averaging 17 points per game, Beedke's averaging 12, and Sisi's averaging 7 points per game. And he's really kind of evolved as a true point guard for the Cougars. And, apart from, they're really going to have to rely on these three guys to get the job done against a Glenbard North team that's seen a lot of improvement this year. But, that's really kind of the story of this year's team. How far can their three experienced and more talented players take them? Because if they're not performing well, the team as a whole does not perform very well. And at this moment, we have the Cougars head coach, Coach Walsh, on the phone right now. Coach Walsh, could you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you.
So you have a very solid core of the three players that I just mentioned that, have a lot of varsity experience and are very talented in their own ways. What can you tell us? What do each of these three players, Sisi, Lathos, and Beedke, bring to the table and help your team win games?
Well, first off, thanks for having me on. The entire Jack Tosh tournament, everything about it, including yourself, including you guys, just first class, so well run. But, our team, Camden Lathos he's a 3-year starter. He's 6'6", and, he does so many things well. He's a scorer. Like you said, he's averaging about 17 points a game. He's a tough matchup because he shoots the ball so well from the perimeter, but he also is, really strong around the basket and, can score in different ways. He rebounds for us, and, he does so many things. Yusuf Sisi, another 3-year starter. He's our do-it-all point guard. He's our best defender. He leads our team in assists. He's our primary ball handler. But he's really stepped up as well and is, more of an offensive threat this year than he's been in years past. He's a very good three-point shooter. When he has the ball, we're in good shape. He's tough to pressure because, he's very, very, very strong. He's an extremely intelligent player. He kind of gets us in our stuff, and, he does it all for us. Bradley Beedke is a junior but a returning starter, 6'6", just extremely athletic. He impacts the game in a lot of ways with his length, his athleticism. Defensively, he's a great rebounder. He shoots the ball as well. He runs out in transition. And, all three of those guys do a great job. We got a lot of other really great players, too, who on any given night are capable of doing some great things as well, too. We got other guys with, experience. Shreyas Talluri is a 3-year varsity guy, a 6'2", 6'3" forward. Isaiah Rhodes played significant minutes last year, about 6'2", 6'3", who kind of plays in the post. Jacob Kulig, doesn't have great size, but, a huge heart, great shooter. Caleb Williams is another senior, with some experience, who's about 6'5", 6'6", that, does a lot for us, too. So, we really like our team. We feel like we're just getting better, and no better place than to test yourselves and to improve than at the incredible talent in the field that's there at the Tosh this year.
And speaking of that incredible field, you've been around the Tosh for a very long time. Do you think this is the best Tosh field you've seen?
Without a doubt, it's amazing. I've been lucky. I went to Conant. I played at Conant, under legendary head coach Tom McCormick. And then, gosh, I think when I was 20 years old, I started as an assistant, working with the under levels, but was always on the bench. So I've been on the bench at the Jack Tosh tournament since the 1990s. I was an assistant at Conant for 13 years before I went to Schaumburg. I was the head coach at Schaumburg for 5 years, and the last year I was at Schaumburg, I was the head coach and brought our then Schaumburg Saxons to the Tosh, and now I'm back for my third year back with Conant, and so I've been around and I've seen it, and there's always an argument and a fun debate, but I don't even think it's close. This year's field is the strongest it's ever been, and it's incredibly strong every year. It's amazing.
Just like you said, it's strong every year, and it takes a lot to make a run at the championship for the Jack Tosh. What would you say is the one aspect of your team style of play that really has to be on point for your team to have success?
Yeah, that's a great question. I'm sure every coach can, think of different things. We just need to be more consistent. We played a really tough schedule. And in some of the games that we've lost, we played very well for long stretches of games. I don't know if we just kind of lost our focus or we haven't had the ability to put, a full game together. But, to our kids' credit, again, we're an experienced group. We're, full of seniors, really high character kids. We're confident, that our best basketball is ahead of us. But, whether it's, a missed assignment or, a bad turnover or, a lack of execution, it just hasn't been going our way. But we just need to get better in all areas of the game. And, that's what we're focusing on now.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for your time and best of luck in the Jack Tosh. Thanks, Coach Walsh.
We appreciate it. Best of luck to you. See you next week.
Coach Walsh of the Conant Cougars. Now, Josh, what do you have for us on their opponent, the Glenbard North Panthers?
And talk about a step up from these Glenbard North Panthers. Last year, I'm pretty sure, was their first year in the Tosh. And coming into the Tosh, they weren't at the top of the Tosh field. They went 2-2, not too bad. They were definitely a threat in the consolation bracket. But this year, they are on a tear so far. For the first time in what seems like a long time, they won the Glenbard round robin, beating Glenbard West, East, and South in a tournament to then go 4-0 against those 3-0 against those teams and take home the Glenbard crown with other impressive wins against St. Charles East, Wheaton, Warrenville South, and St. Charles East. They're a really good team led by Coach Tan's son, J.J. Hernandez, who is a 3-year starter for them, and he averaged over 15 points and 6 rebounds last year. He's a really impressive player, a great leader for this team, both athletically and mentally. He is one of the best players that you can ask for in the state to lead a team to a deep run in the Tosh, and that is exactly what Coach Tan and his Glenbard North Panthers want to do. And speaking of him, I think we have him on the line here. Can you hear us all right, Coach?
I can, yeah. Quick correction, too. JJ is not my son.
Oh, that is, I do apologize about that.
Yeah, that's no problem. No problem. He's much more athletic than I could ever be, but he is a great kid. You were right on everything else.
Well, speaking of JJ, anyways, he's been an incredible player who just seems to keep getting better every single year. And what can you tell us about him as a player?
Yeah, he really has. So this is his third year on varsity. He's been an all-conference selection every year for me, and it's been really cool to see him develop. First year, he was kind of our post, and he was a sophomore, so kind of a young guy, quiet. Last year, he took a huge step forward, both on the court and off the court, with his leadership and skills. And right now, he's shooting above 40% from the three-point line. So he's really worked hard to improve on the skills that you'd like to see on the court, but more importantly, too, just the maturation he's gotten throughout these 3 years has been really fun to watch.
Coach, your opening round matchup is against Conant, who's known for it's kind of their low-scoring matchups. They like to keep the score low, play really slow. and kind of that hard-nosed man-to-man defense, whereas you guys are much more fast-paced, great on offense, highly efficient. Do you do anything different to prepare for a team like that who really tries to slow the pace of the game and, really kind of just grind you down with their tough defense?
Yeah, they are really tough defensively, and they play really good man-to-man defense, so that's something that we'll be working on. But I think, lucky for us, we play in a good competitive conference where we see tough defenses almost every night. So, we saw a great Lake Park team in a man-to-man defense. We've seen, Wheaton South in their ball press where they like to keep scores and the pace low too. So, we've got some games under our belt that should be similar, and we've kind of built some proof over the course of the season thus far. So we'll just try to keep doing what we're doing and get better each day, obviously. But it should be a good game.
And everyone knows that one player doesn't make a team. Can you describe what the supporting cast around JJ has been like? Who's been playing really well and stepped up for your team that you've been proud of?
Yeah, absolutely. So last year we were really young. We had 2 freshmen and a sophomore in our starting lineup. So this year those guys have gotten a year of varsity under their belt, which has made a huge difference in their play. And we've also had a big addition with Jalen Cruz transferring onto our squad, and he's putting up some high numbers, but he's also done a lot for our team as far as gelling together and taking some of that pressure offensively off of JJ. So we're playing unselfishly right now. We've got guys who are sharing the ball and want to see the success of others. So we'll look to continue on that.
Well, thank you so much for your time, Coach. We look forward to seeing you guys play next week.
All right. Thanks for having me, guys. Thanks for everything you do, too.
Thank you. That's definitely going to be one of the most interesting matchups. It is two very competitive teams that are both hard-nosed and have the ability to stop opponents from scoring. So this will be a very interesting good offense versus good defense matchup here. And we would like to introduce a special guest, York alum and current Nebraska basketball player, Jeffery Grace. Thank you for coming out here and joining us as a part of the Jack Tosh preview show. And speaking of which, you were very successful in the Jack Tosh Holiday Classic, winning one and coming in second in one. What is that like to go that far? What do you have to put your body through to be able to play those 5 games in 5 days and be extremely successful in all of that?
First of all, thank you guys for having me. And the first thing I would say is definitely the preparation going into it, like the days leading up to it. You definitely have to be focused, mentally locked in, mentally prepared. And because it's a long tournament, as we know, there's a lot of things that go into it, a lot of hype going into it as well. So you definitely have to be focused, just mentally locked in the moment, and also just being prepared for what's to come. Yeah. So definitely like scouting, working with your teammates, and just making sure like no one gets nervous, because it's a big moment for sure. So just staying mentally prepared for sure.
Now, you spent the last 3 years playing basketball at Nebraska. What would you say has been the biggest kind of transition or a moment where you realized how much different college basketball is than high school basketball?
Definitely the speed and the preparation for sure. Scouting is definitely taken at a higher level. The preparation, just like practicing every day with lifting and also doing school with that as well. You really learn time management and also just like trying to get everything done. So you really have to stay on top of everything, just being a student athlete. So it's definitely a lot different, but as long as you are willing to do it and put the work in, everything will work out.
Going back to the tournaments that you personally played in, what was how did it feel to be able to play in those championship games? What was the environment like for you as a player being in such a big moment?
So the first time when we won our championship, we actually played Downers Grove South, I believe. It was a crazy environment. Obviously, everyone knows it's here at York Community High School. So a lot of fans, a lot of people came out to it. There was we were doing really well that season, so that brought a lot of hype as well. So it was really awesome, great experience to be a part of. I believe my junior year, we played Bolingbrook, and we came up short. I kind of fouled out, I'm not going to lie. But it was a bummer. But, I mean, just the overall experience, the Tosh, everything it provides is just awesome. It's just a wonderful experience that I'm glad a lot of people get to experience during the holiday time.
Definitely. And what's been your favorite part about Big Ten basketball? What sort of memories have stood out about being a part of such a big program at Nebraska?
I would say the road trips, like just meeting understanding my teammates, getting to know them a little bit more, and also just like the new atmospheres being brought into is really cool because obviously we played like some really hostile environments and also like really cool environments, which is really nice that a lot of people don't get to experience. So just that, and also just like competing each and every day, getting myself better.
Well, we would like to thank you for coming out, and we appreciate your insight as you have a special insight into this tournament, being so successful in it, and being a part of York while that was happening. So best of luck on the season, except against Illinois, but thank you for joining us.
Appreciate that, boys, and go Big Red.
And with that, that will bring us to the final game of the Jack Tosh Holiday Classic preview show for 2023. And we will kick it to the last game, which is the Hinsdale South Hornets versus the York Dukes. Tej and Nick, can you preview this matchup a little bit for us?
Yeah, of course. We're going to talk about Hinsdale South here first. They're a pretty young team. Actually only have 3 seniors on their roster for new head coach Mike Bellicaster. Junior Jack Wegas was very solid in the tournament last year. He averaged 11.5 points over just 4 games. And Adam Ferrari is also returning junior and a big piece to the team this year. Is a very dangerous and young team going into this tournament. And Coach Bellicaster, can you hear us?
Yes, I hear you there.
All right, thank you for coming on. Can you just tell us a little bit about this team this year going into the tournament?
Yes, first we're very excited to be part of the Tosh tournament. It's something that we look forward to as soon as we were invited into it. With a young team, they love basketball. They are the new generation of basketball. They are very passionate about it. They live for it. After practice, they're going to the gym themselves and get enough shots. So it's something that they have incorporated into their lives as normal routines. We're really excited to see this young group, in fact, go up against York, a very, very well-coached team, very, very well good program over the course of many, many years. So it's an honor to be able to take on York as our opponent in Game 1 of the tournament.
And Coach, you had mentioned you have a lot of young guys on this team. We know you're really led by your junior guard, Jack Wegas. How does he and the rest of your young guys really how have they stepped up this year for your team?
The best thing about them is their passion. They hold each other and themselves accountable. When we are playing great basketball, it's easy to see their ability to work as a team, create shots for others, create shots for themselves, which is really next level. Each day, they just come with this attitude to improve, learn, and build for the future. So they talk all the time about the program when they're gone already as sophomores, as juniors. So that's something that's really intriguing with this group. They're trying to leave a mark for the future and trying to make a stamp for the future as positive role models for their town.
Hey, Coach, I know you guys have a fairly young team. How have you been able to prepare them for the pressure of this upcoming tournament?
Yeah, so we do a lot of drills that deal with a lot of pressure. We also talk a lot about life and about the real pressures that come, after basketball, and how basketball is truly a practice for the real test in life. One of our recent games was Downers Grove South. The gym was loaded with fans, community members, things like that. So that was a great time to simulate a lot of the pressure of a sold-out gym or Tosh tournament with all the spectators. Tons of media was there, and not only that, they took on a really, really good and coached Downers Grove South team. So that was a very good experience for them guys.
And yeah, Coach, we know that you yourself was a very, very good three-point shooter back when you played, and we know Jack Wegas is also a great three-point shooter. If you two were to go head-to-head in a three-point contest, who do you think would come out on top?
I would need a couple days of practice to get some reps back. But I do think that it might be closer than Jack thinks it would be. I definitely will give the winner and the champ to Jack, not because of his youth, but because that's his thing. He's a phenomenal player. He's a phenomenal captain, and he's a phenomenal person. And when you combine those three things together, there really is no ceiling. So right now, the hardest thing for Jack, for instance, would be time. Every second that passes is a second that he's missing. So I think time is the biggest struggle for all of these players on this team.
All right, well, Coach, thank you so much for coming on and talking to us. It seems like you have really prepared them for the upcoming matchup against York Dukes. Obviously, tough matchup. We wish you luck, even though you are going against us. But still, we wish you luck and much success in this tournament.
Like I said, we are really excited. I'm very excited, and I'm also blessed to have this opportunity, not only to play in the Tosh tournament, but to coach these young men every day and make them better individuals for our world and community. And that's truly my mission here, is to really mold this roster to do things for the youth and to be better people in our world. And as of right now, they're surpassing any type of any of the aspirations I had. They're fulfilling them to the most. So I couldn't be more proud of this group already, and we're only a month into the season.
That's fantastic, Coach, and thank you so much for coming on once again and talking to us today.
Thank you so much, and Hinsdale South is always there for all the teams in the tournament. If there's any way we could ever help anyone or help anyone's team, we're always there for you guys. We just want to play good basketball and have some fun.
No problem, of course, anytime. Thank you.
Looking at this Hinsdale South's opponent here in this first round matchup is, of course, the home team, the York Dukes. They're coming into this tournament 9-2 on an incredible win streak of 7 games. They started off the year 2-2 and have not lost since. We saw them play last Saturday and Friday, beating IC in the crosstown matchup of Elmhurst and beating Lions, who will also be in this tournament, pretty handedly. They've looked very solid this year. A lot of returning players. They were very young last year, and now all those players are now seniors, led by, of course, guard AJ Levine. He's really been their go-to guy the last 2 years, and he's really done a nice job improving his game overall from last year to this year, as well as others like Kyle Waltz and Brendan Molis. They've also added a lot of extra height to this team, adding sophomore Hunter Stepanek. That was kind of a little bit of a concern that they had last year, so able to add on to that height that they already had with Braden Richardson and Kyle Waltz is something that's definitely going to help them out this year in the Tosh. Going through all these first round matchups so far, where do you guys think everyone should keep their eyes looking at? Which first round matchup do you guys personally think is going to be the best one?
I think the first round matchup that's going to be the most exciting is going to be the earliest game on the slate in the Campbell Gym. I think that Lake Forest Palatine, 2 historic coaches, 2 great programs who've consistently been very good at the Tosh with 2 stars and a loaded cast of players that are going to create an interesting matchup that's going to be very close between these 2 teams. So I'd keep my eyes on Lake Forest versus Palatine.
I think it's going to be Glenbard West versus Rolling Meadows. We saw Glenbard West get a similar draw where they were forced to play Naperville North. I feel like last year's Naperville North team and this year's Rolling Meadows team are pretty similar. And last year we got a fantastic game that was tight from the entire way through. I think we'll get a repeat of that. I don't know who's going to get out on top, but I just assume that this one's going to be close. 2 fantastic coaches, 2 teams that have a lot of depth but don't lack the talent. So I expect this one to be the best first round matchup.
I'm going to take one straight from that same quadrant. I think Stagg and Wheaton North is just going to be a phenomenal game. Both teams very good. Wheaton North showed last year how good they could be, and Stagg's looking to prove themselves after starting out red hot to begin the year. I think all eyes should be on that game as it's going to come down to the wire.
Well, it might not be the best game on the slate, but the game I'm most excited for is York versus Hinsdale South. I mean, obviously, I can't wait to see York with all their momentum that they've had, won the last 7 games. I can't wait to see them play in this tournament. And I want to know everyone's sleeper picks, actually. team that you think will go the furthest in the tournament?
I think a sleeper team that a lot of people are underestimating is going to be, I'm going to go with actually St. Francis. I really liked St. Francis's game last year. They were a very entertaining brand of basketball. They definitely were fun and young, and now they're more experienced. They have experience in the Tosh as well now too, and they added a few key pieces that have been very integral. So I could see them totally winning a game versus Lamont, and they have the size and the speed to be able to match up with Bolingbrook pretty well, getting them to the quarterfinals. So I could see them getting to that quarterfinal game, and then once you get at that point in the Tosh, any team, it depends on your momentum, so any team can win. So I think they can definitely be a sleeper team that a lot of people aren't picking from a good first-round matchup with Lamont.
I think the perfect sleeper team in this field is Glenbard North. I think they're a very complete team. You know, you have J.J. Hernandez, who I think is the most underrated player. There's just not a lot of hype around him when you look at other guys, when you compare him to other guys of his talent in the media. So I think he always flies under the radar. But they have size, and they have guys who can defend, and they have, you know, true point guards. They have shooters. They're just a very complete team. They have all the right pieces, and they're returning a lot of guys too. So it's not a lot of new faces, you know, who aren't used to the Tosh's format. I like Glenbard North. I think they could make a run, and they have a favorable bracket position as well.
A team I think that could make some sort of a run in this tournament is St. Ignatius. They have a tough matchup, of course, against Yorkville in the first round, but after that, I'm going to assume they're playing St. Pat's, and I think that's a game that they can win. And I think in that part of the bracket, I think they match up best against Riverside Brookfield. I think Justin Scott can do a good job guarding Stefan Stitches in the paint. He's a big kid. He can slow him down a little bit, stop the open three-point attempts from Riverside Brookfield. And once you get to that point, like you guys said, anything can happen in the Tosh.
Well, I'm actually going to go with St. Patrick as my sleeper pick. I think that they will easily beat LT, and that they can beat Yorkville and St. Ignatius in the next round, whichever team they play. I mean, obviously, legendary coach and Coach Sloan. They have a great defense every single year. They really play as a team, and I love to see them play. I love to watch them, and I think that they can make a little run here in the tournament.
Now, we all have our 4 finalists for who's going to win each quadrant. Who do we think is going to win the 2023 Jack Tosh Holiday Classic out of our 4 finalists? Nick, I'll start with you.
Putting the pressure on me. So I think that maybe Riverside Brookfield might win this tournament. I feel like that they're a really good team, obviously coming in at 9-1. They're led by senior Stefan Stitches, who is a 7-foot center. He's second team All-State last season. Currently has 7 Division I offers. I think that he's going to be an absolute problem for a lot of teams. I don't think a lot of teams can match up well with him, and I think that he will lead them to a championship.
I think Riverside Brookfield will also be making it to the championship game. However, I do not have them winning. I think Glenbrook South is going to win the Tosh this year. I know they'll have to go through Downers Grove North in that Final Four matchup, but I think the experience that they have and really just the lack of experience Downers Grove North has in the Tosh tournament with all the lights shining bright right on them, I think Glenbrook South can get over that hump, especially with Nick Taylor. He's such a great player inside the paint. I don't think DGN will have an answer for him, and then once you get to that final game, I think Glenbrook South is just a lot more athletic and get to the basket, and I think they can do a good job of slowing down Sisich in the finals.
I hear what you're saying about Downers Grove North, but I do not agree. I think they're going to win the Jack Tosh in their first year ever being in it. I understand what you're saying about being new to the conditioning and, you know, the bright lights of it all, but this is a team that was under the brightest of lights last year in the state semifinals and picked apart a really solid Kenwood team. And as well as the conditioning, they have a lot of guys who play other sports. Owen Thulin is an elite football athlete as well. So I believe that Downers Grove North has all the pieces they need. They have all the coaching. I already mentioned that they love to, you know, play a lot of games in a short amount of time. I think they get it done in their first ever year in the Tosh.
I agree. I have them taking the championship over Bolingbrook, so a newcomer versus the old guard, one of the best teams to play at the Jack Tosh Holiday Classic consistently, going far in the tournament. But like you said, when you take a team that was in the top 4 of the top class of Illinois in the state playoffs and you return their 2 best players, it's hard to pick against them. And I think Jack Stanton and the Trojans will get it done at York. And I think they'll be able to make a run all the way to that title and be able to hoist the Jack Tosh Holiday Classic. And arguably the feeling will be better than the state championship last year. And that will conclude the 49th annual Jack Tosh Holiday Classic preview video. We want to thank you all for joining us. We want to thank all the coaches for talking to us and having those interviews and great insight, helping us out understand, helping us and you, the viewer, out understand what their teams and what to look forward to. We hope we successfully hyped up the Jack Tosh Holiday Classic for you to tune in to all your Sports Network streams, as we will be streaming all 68 games, as well as we would like to thank the man, the myth, and the legend behind it all, Vince Dorn. He is the man who's been helping us out behind the scenes, and he's been in contact with all the coaches, and we'd like to thank the production team behind this video.